Hello, everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast Twister, everything but silent. I'm your host Isaiah, and we're back with a podcast. I haven't podcasted for a little bit. I'm on my I like to call it podcasting break while all my TV shows I cover are off the air, which is fine. But Big Brother Canada and all that stuff is coming up, and I like to take this time to do some low frequency podcast, some vibes, and I had to grab the most knowledgeable hero genre guy that I know in Jason Reed to talk about all of my favorite Marvel movies and TV shows. So Jason, how are you doing today?
Oh man, big props from you to me. Most knowledgeable. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm doing good, Isaiah. Excited to get to this. Honestly, it has been a long time since I've done an actual ranking of MCU properties, and it really made me think. It's getting my list together. It made me rethink and think of some opinions I had before and some opinions I have now. I think there's probably been about almost 10 properties that have come out since I actually did a real life ranking. And this isn't even it wasn't even for a podcast, just for funsies. That's what I do. What we would do is rank all the stuff I like. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opinions flying in the air through this from you and I, from people watching or listening. So I'm excited to get into this and to have probably going to have some arguments along the way, but that's what this is for. So I'm extremely excited to get through this and to really break it all down.
Exactly. Listen, for those who don't know, so Jason, in Sasha, she podcasts over here a couple times. They have a Marvel podcast where they talk about everything over, post show recaps, RHAP, all that fun stuff. And I'm like, at some point I need to talk to Jason about this because it's for those who don't know me, I have a very wide variety of opinions and everything. And I've had my scuffles every now and then on social media where someone's like, your opinion is so dumb, you don't know what you're talking about. I always have to add Jason, Jason, validate my opinion.
So we've definitely been in these Marvel streets together sometimes defending the same opinion, or I have had to come at you a couple of times because your opinions, I'm like, I say even that I can't get with. But yes, I'm excited for this.
All right. And for those who are watching live or for the most part, like usual, watching on the replay, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, comment all the time. It lets me know what you guys like to watch. But this is all vibes. So, if tell me if I'm wrong, tell if we're right. You can tell us whatever. Anyway, so we have a tier list of every single MCU movie. We have a couple TV shows in there. I think looking at it, it's specifically going towards the Disney Plus series. Nothing Netflix, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm missing it. Excuse me, sorry. But yeah, let's figure it out. So it's going to be ranked from S to F for those who are listening on audio platforms. S meaning that it is the greatest, and F meaning that this is hot garbage. Okay, so we could start from the very beginning. Technically, it's not the first one that they made, but this is the first MCU project that they made in Iron Man 1. Jason, how are you feeling about Iron Man? What do you think? Where do you think it should be ranked?
Iron Man stands the test of time. I have watched it recently, and it still holds up. And to me, it's got to be in that S tier. In my opinion, because the action is there, the charm and the wit of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark has not been rivaled in the Marvel universe since he has debuted. Honestly, I think any movie that Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark has been in is going to be either S or A tier for me. Little spoiler of my thoughts, maybe. But for Iron Man, the OG, the original, I got to give it S tier.
I have not watched this movie in such a long time, but
it's on FX like every other day, so you can catch it on cable really easily.
But look, so many scenes from this movie are stuck in my mind still, especially the whole 10 Rings attack, and he's stuck in this whole prison cell with I forget the guy's name, and they're making the Iron Man suit and rebelling against the entire group. That was probably one of the most iconic things I remember from this. Also, God, what's the villain's name in this? The bald guy. Um, is it
Obadiah Stane. Yeah.
Obadiah Stane? I almost call him Jedediah.
He built
Obadiah.
this with scraps in a cave, or whatever the quote was. He was so good as a villain.
It, it,
Just oozing that despicable villainy, and how he was able to turn on and off the charm with Tony.
yeah,
Once we get the big reveal, but probably about, I don't know, midway through maybe.
yeah.
He's so good. Yeah.
And for those, a big thing for me, especially with these things, is the villains. I would personally go A, because S for me means like I'm rewatching this every second I can. But I'm also not angry with a low S. I do think that the show is great enough to stand a test of time. So I am going to put it up there. I do agree that this is before the Disney age as well. So
Yeah.
like they weren't afraid to like take chances with Iron Man back then as well.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, maybe probably one of the most iconic moments in Marvel MCU history, with that end tag of Nick Fury coming in and be like, have you heard about the Avengers Initiative? And I just remember being in the theater when that moment came up, and it's just the thrillingness of that you felt of that was just like, oh my god, like this is so much bigger than that. They're planning stuff, like this is just a start of something, and it ended up being a start of something great. So just for those moments alone, and then the memories I got from that, I definitely have to put an S tier for me.
All right, so it's right now it's S tier for where it'll place ultimately, because we are going to allow changes a little bit later. Yes. We'll see. It is S. I'm with that. So next is the Incredible Hulk. I forget who the actor is for this one.
Ed Norton. Yeah.
Thank you. I haven't watched this in years. If you ask me to tell you the entire plot, I'm not going to be able to. But I will say I remember a couple months ago, I was like ranking something Marvel related with some friends, and I remember looking at the fight between him and Abomination, and that fight is so epic. It's such a good fight, in my opinion. It's everything that the Hulk should be, and Marvel has failed to give me this Hulk. And I'm sure we'll talk about the Hulk a lot more the deeper we get into this. But this is like I can't talk about his Bruce Banner because I don't remember his Bruce Banner. I'm not going to lie, but the Abomination versus Hulk fight was so good for me. And I just loved every second of that, but I'm unsure where I would rank it. So Jason, you honestly have a whole lot of power here to influence me.
Here's the thing. People hate this movie. Everyone ranks it so low, but I have always been in the camp of that this is a highly underrated movie. And from my memory of when this came out originally, because we were all still in the thrall of Iron Man, we were all like, Marvel's so great, and we got this. And you have to remember, this is 2000, what was the year? 2009, 2010, something like that.
Yeah.
We hadn't gotten many Marvel movies to this point. We got your X-Men, your Fantastic Four, your blah blah blahs, but I think over time the memory of this movie has really faded and has really soured people. I enjoy the movie. Ed Norton's Bruce Banner is not great. Ed Norton himself is a very understated actor.
Yeah.
So I think that's what got people off on the wrong foot. And some of the behind the scenes of it also soured people on him because he wanted a lot of control. But overall, I really like the movie. You mentioned the Abomination fight. I would, if we were ranking top 10 fight sequences, I think this Hulk Abomination fight would be up there because it's so good and so epic, so visceral and so violent, which is one of the standouts for me about this movie. But it's not great. Listen, I'm not going to put it in my top 10 of Marvel movies. So why don't we put it right now? Let's put it smack dab in the middle. Let's put it in C.
All right, C is the definition of mid. Would you take him over Mark Ruffalo if it was
no.
Okay.
No, Mark Ruffalo's come in and really made the Bruce Banner character his own. Like I said, Ed Norton's very understated, so it's not a performance that really like hit me or knocked it out of the park for me, which is why it's in this mid tier for me. I think the Ed Norton of it all is probably the biggest drawback of the movie.
Okay. All right, so the next movie we have is Iron Man 2. So I want to see how you feel about Iron Man 2.
Man, and again, I feel like maybe it's just my nostalgia like catching up with me, but I've never hated Iron Man 2. People hate Iron Man 2. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it really gave us more of the, the Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. love that we needed. I thought the villain was trash. Okay, let's get that out
You're like Whiplash.
yeah, Mickey Rourke was not was the character was so cartoony. It was
Right.
bad. Okay, so let's say that. Let's put that out there. Okay, this was the birth of Don Cheadle's Rhodey, which was really good, and I liked the fact that we were getting into the war machine of it all. That we were getting all. I liked the plot of this movie. The villain in Mickey Rourke's Quick Flash was bad. I'll give it that.
Mhm.
But we also had Justin Hammer, which was good.
Yes.
So let's stick it with Incredible Hulk right now. Let's do that. I'm not going to give it an F. I think a lot of people will come here and say it's in the F tier. But for right now, let's put it in C and see where it ends up.
I thought I was gonna have to come in here and like fight you about this, but I fully agree. I'm actually gonna put it over the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, yeah, do that.
But I
The
really liked
suitcase
it.
suit, bro. I've been waiting
Okay.
for that. I've been waiting for that since I saw the animated series in the 90s to see that in live action. And that
Yeah.
it did not disappoint. It was good. It was really good. You had so many different suits. That's what we want out of Iron Man. We want him to be like to have all the different suits, that be so
Mhm.
inventive. I thought it was great. Now they had the stupid little plot line of him getting poisoning from his thing.
Yeah.
That was dumb. You could scrap that. And then we had the whole that was the one where we introduced a Black Widow, so that was really good.
Yeah.
We got him more into the Avengers, talking about more of the Avengers in the precursor to the actual Avengers movie. I thought it was good. So yeah, I'd put it in the C tier. I would even maybe even say it was below B, but let's keep it
Okay.
in C now because I think if we put it in B, it's gonna get knocked down to C anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just put it in C for right now.
And Justin, you brought up Justin Hammer. So good that they even just brought him back for like a what if episode and
Yeah.
everything. I almost forgot about Justin Hammer, but he was great. And I'm such a war machine fan. So like
Mhm.
the whole fight specifically when there's like Iron Man War Machine and they're like shooting all the
So
robots and like
good.
you see the yeah,
So
iconic. So
good.
I'm with you. I think it gets overly this movie gets so much hate for no reason. Iron Man 3, we'll get there when we get
Yeah,
there.
we'll talk about
But
that.
I don't hate this movie, and I think it deserves some respect. So I'm glad we're on the same path there. So next is Thor. Now I will be honest with you. Out of everything here, there are three things I haven't seen, and I'm gonna be real with you.
Oh, okay.
I've tried to watch Thor 1 and Thor 2 a plethora of times, and I've fallen asleep every single time. So I'm going to try to watch Thor 1 more time. I don't know when that is. It's going to happen at some point. But I have not seen Thor 1 or Thor 2. So you have a lot of control here. I know a lot of the implications. I know a lot of the storylines because of What If and the Avengers movies and all that, but I have not watched it, and it's really unfortunate, especially watching like Loki. I'm missing so many like big storylines there. So how do you feel about Thor 1?
Thor Thor 1 is an interesting movie to talk about because I think Thor 1 is wiped out of a lot of people's memories. I think that Chris Hemsworth did not come into his own in the Thor role until Avengers.
Oh,
So
okay.
no, I mean just like how we feel about Chris Hemsworth
Yeah.
as Thor.
Yeah.
In the first Thor, I was like, okay, he's all right. They didn't really give him that humor and that wit that we see from Avengers on in Thor. So he was just fine as Thor in Thor. So I was like, okay, he's okay. When people think of the first Thor, most people think about Loki. And that was Tom Hiddleston's, debut as Loki. And I was like, oh my God, Loki is so great. And Tom Hiddleston's Thor was like, he's all right, he's fine. The action wasn't anything to write home about. By the end of it, we had a very generic villain in the Destroyer, which was kind of Loki's what Loki was using as his muscle, as kind of his puppet. And the fight and the end fight was very generic, very very plain. So I think for Thor, I'm gonna put her in the D tier. Not one of the worst, but not really that good. It was fine. It was
All right.
okay. I kind of feel bad though putting that Putting that
Listen, we
below,
gotta be. You gotta be honest.
I
Do
feel
what you
bad
do.
putting it below Incredible Hulk, to be honest with you.
You want to swap them,
Why don't you, yes, swap them.
or we could also drop
Put
Hulk if you
Incredible Hulk in D. Put Incredible Hulk in
Okay.
D under
Okay.
Thor. Put him
Okay.
under. Yeah, there we go. Because I do feel like the first Thor is a better movie than Incredible Hulk, just because it did a good job of introducing a lot of the players of Asgard, like
Yeah.
something that the MCU did really well, especially back in the day, is introducing us to worlds. Right? We think about Asgard, where we got the introduction of that in this movie, and it was really good. It was magnificent. We think about Black Panther and how we got introduced to Wakanda. So good. And the way they brought us into those worlds was so great. And I think the big drawback of Thor, unfortunately, is Thor himself. Everything else around Thor is pretty good. It's just,
Yeah.
for me, I walk away from Thor going, Thor was fine, he was okay. But I mean, that Loki, like, oh, Loki is fun. Like, we can see Loki being a big character for years coming. That's exactly what we got. I think let's put this here now. I think I'm good with where Thor and Incredible Hulk are right now.
All right. Next is Captain America, the first one, and this was a movie. I've watched this movie so many times, but for a while, this is another one that I skipped on back in like high school. And then I was like, let me just go sit and watch Captain America, because like I was always the Iron Man guy, especially around Civil War time. I was like, I don't really care about Captain America, and Captain America won, and we'll talk about the other ones, but very good movie. I know it's a timepiece film. Not a lot of people care about this film because it took place in the past, and but we got Peggy Carter, we get Red Skull, who honestly really got wasted so early because he's such a big villain in the comics. But we got him in this movie. He was great here. We got Tony Stark's father, great role. He a very big part in the MCU lore, obviously, for years to come. A lot of good characters. Oh, and we got the Doctor guy that's relevant in the second one in What If. But this movie, especially with Chris Evans, Captain America, it's just really good. I really enjoyed to see like him as like this skinny shrimp guy, and then he gets upgraded to like not a hero yet, but like he's just like a performer, and then everything else that comes with it. Like you get the Bucky story where it starts out here, and I really like Bucky as a character. It's a lot to like here with this movie, and I think it really has a lot of rewatchability. I will watch this movie again in a heartbeat personally, and this is like A or B for me. But how do you feel about it?
The first Captain America, when I first saw it, I left the theater thinking, it's okay. It's not great, but it has really grown for me in appreciation over time. And I think that's mostly due to the trajectory of Captain America / Steve Rogers in the MCU. And I look back at Captain America because I watched it many times after the first time, and I like it more and more when I watch it more and more. Because you're right, we do get a lot of of the iconicness. We get Peggy Carter, who has been such a big character in the MCU in multiple pivotal moments. You talk about What If, she is all over What If,
Yeah.
and she had her own TV show for a minute on ABC when in the Agents of Shield days. So she is a character that has really just grown exponentially from where she was, and she's a great character in the MCU. So I think I will put Captain America: First Avenger in our B tier here, because I think it's good enough to be there. Probably when I would first watch it, I would probably put it in the D tier along with Thor and Incredible Hulk. But as I said, my appreciation for it has grown so much over the years, and as I watch it back, I'm like, man, this was really a good movie. Why was I hating on it so much?
Right.
So yeah, B is where I think it goes right now.
All right. Cool. And also, I think it has the best suit. This me personally for Captain America. It was.
See, I didn't like the suit. That was one of my
You
things
don't like
I didn't
General
like.
the army one. You don't like it.
I didn't like it. I thought it was a little too bulky. Like, it looked oversized for him.
Okay.
So I was like, that's weird. I
Okay.
liked all the suits better as we go further
Respect.
in the MCU. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I think his end suit is the best suit. The last suit we saw him in was the best suit for me.
Solid. All right. Bet. So we have Avengers 1. I don't know how I feel about this one,
Oh
Jason.
no. Okay. Walk me through.
I love this movie, and I don't know. My problem is I don't know if this is a nostalgia pick or not, because I'm first of all, Loki as the final boss is great. You get hinted to Thanos and stuff. Um, I really like the Hulk in this movie as well. He's great. Black Widow's great. Hawkeye, he's all right. But the main characters, in my opinion, that we got built up to is Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. And I'm not going to say like the whole assemblement of the team feels forced, but it feels like they're like, all right, we just have to get them on a team real quick, get them to the city to fight a bunch of people. Like once the fight with Loki, where he gets captured. Well, actually, no, not even that. When they're in France and he gets the eye socket and everything, there to like the end of the movie, I'm hooked. I'm like, I love it, right? The beginning portion, it takes a while for you to really get into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh, Thor just comes from the sky. And like, maybe this is my fault for not watching Thor 1, of course. But, they just kind of throw you in there with like Thor and Loki, where it's like, okay, like they're brothers, like you're kind of figuring it out. I think this movie has a whole lot of highs and a couple of lows, but it's like the lows really are like low to me, and it's like also, and maybe this is just me, it feels like, all right, like when I watch Iron Man or Captain America, I can go back and be like, oh, this is timeless. This feels a little dated a little bit in some aspects with some of the acting, some of the shots as well, but it's still iconic enough to be like a high tier. I don't know about S though. That's me personally.
Ooh. For me, for right now, this is number one. This is
Really
high S.
Wow.
I watched it recently because
Okay.
my daughter hadn't seen it, and I was like,
Oh wow.
and that was a failure in parenting, I realized. So I said, all right, we're gonna put on Avengers 1, and it was so good. So, still so good, because and in the moment, right, of Avengers 1, this is the culmination of how many movies we got? 5 movies. This is the culmination of that, right? All that we've built up to, all the characters we've introduced, and it's here. The Avengers are finally together, and I thought that it showed the promise of that, because we didn't need big introductions for everyone, because everyone going to see this movie has already seen all the other movies. We just gonna assume that, so there's not a lot of build up needed. And as you said, the first half of the movie is a little lagging a little bit. There's some plot holes, like they never really explain the whole why is Loki able to control people. There's this scene I remember of them arguing in the helicarrier. It's a whole scene where they're all arguing, and by the end of it, Bruce Banner's holding the Loki stick. And I'm like, is Loki like controlling his mind? So there's a few plot holes in the beginning of the movie and through the midway point. But once we get to New York and fight the Jatari army, there is nothing like it. We get the group shots, we get the working together, we get the team up powers. It's like, oh, perfect. So for me, that's why I have in the high S. And the character chemistry is there pretty much. There's some bumpiness between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark a little bit, but other than that, I feel like the chemistry is unparalleled. It's unmatched. So for that, I'm putting in the highest here. And listen, I'll tell everybody this now. Anything Avengers related is going to be high for me. It just is.
Okay.
I don't think they made a bad Avengers movie. I'll say that. And I think that's going to get some. I think that's kind of a hot take with one of these Avengers movies that we'll get to. But I don't think they made a bad Avengers movie or Avengers related movie, as some of these cat movies are basically Avengers movies. So yeah, we'll get to those when we get those. But for Avengers 1, I'm putting it high S. But we're gonna count your opinion here, Isaiah. I mean, I don't want to be in control of this thing. You tell me where you want to put it.
I would have this at top A, and you would have this at top of S. So naturally, it's going to hit S, first of all.
Okay.
But it's going to be behind Iron Man, because I think to be like a top, we both got to agree on something. But listen, I'm not going to fight you. That's what I'm saying. It's still up there. But when I'm like, my combativeness is like, I can't put at the top, because it's like, this is so good, but like, first of all, I agree with you. I think there's like no bad Avengers movies. That is a hot take, which is crazy. I don't know why. I enjoy a lot of them. I can't wait there's one specific I can't wait to talk about. Real quick, which movie did Disney start like taking control of all this? Was it this one?
No, it wasn't this one. boy, I honestly don't
I'm
remember.
very curious about that. I never really thought about that.
Um,
So no.
as we're going through, I'll think about it. I'll look up a
Okay,
little.
bet.
I'll look it up a little bit.
All right, bet.
And see.
All right. Next is the last Iron Man focused movie that we've gotten. They really like gave us a trilogy very quickly. Iron Man 3. I do not like Iron Man 3. I think Iron Man 3 is pretty bad. I do understand why some people do love this movie because it's very focused on Tony Stark the person instead of Tony Stark the hero. And I think he moves a little dumb because like obviously like his home gets blown up and all this stuff. But I will say because I'm going to try to find the bright side in some of this. I think the whole portion where he's with like the kid and him and the kid are like kind of like helping each other out. That's a really fun portion of the show of this movie. But like I forget the names of the villains. I know they pop up a lot more. You probably remember than me.
Well, the Mandarin was the main villain. The who
But there was the people with the powers. I forget what their names
Oh
are.
well, they were. I don't know if they had a name, but they were.
Oh, yeah,
They had extremis powers, which is the name of
okay.
the power they had. Yeah, and they were pretending to be the 10 rings.
Yeah,
what that was.
And basically, up until Shang-Chi, this movie was so irrelevant for like years, bro. Like I'm just like I don't care about Iron Man 3, and I wouldn't blame anyone for skipping Iron Man 3. So I think this is a bad movie personally. I don't really care enough to watch it again, but it's not the worst of the worst. Like this is like a top of D for me personally, but it's not I don't I'm not going to go out of my way to like watch this movie again. But how do you feel about it?
Boy, it's fine, right? It's fine for me. It's not like I'm not going to fight you on saying it's bad, but it's just like it's okay. Like I think about the feelings I had when I left the theater. And when I leave the theater when seeing this, I'm like, it was okay. It was fine. Like, definitely not one of the best that Marvel's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. They did focus a lot on Tony Stark. He was barely in the suit for most of this movie. And, they did the thing which I thought was fun, which was he had so many suits and the whole little switching suits at the end. I thought was a very fun use of the suits and all that. The whole kids plot, I did not like. You could have just scrapped that whole thing. I did not like it at all. The thing with at the end with Pepper getting extremis, I was like, please,
oh my god,
spare me.
Yeah.
So for those really bring down the movie. I did enjoy. I did not like the whole fake out with Ben Kingsley and the Mandarin, and then being like, oh, he's just an act. I thought that was just a little too cute. Like I would say, that's a little too cute for me. So for all those bring it down for me. There are a lot of good sequences in the movie, like when his house does get blown up. I enjoyed that. When he's saving the president, I enjoyed that. And the end fight was good, was fun. I enjoyed that. And also, oh my god, what's the guy's name? Guy Pearce as the Mandarin, which was like it was again just like it's not great. Just kind of a long line of the Iron Man villains not being great. Starting from Whiplash to this.
Very irrelevant.
Right. So yeah, I'm okay sticking to the D tier. The question is where in the D tier though?
I mean, you've watched Thor before I had. I mean, I wouldn't even be against putting this at the bottom of the D tier because at least I would go back to watch the Hulk fight with Abomination before going back to this movie. I really don't care about this movie. But
yeah, I'm good with
there
that.
You go. All right, cool. All right, so next is the second movie on this entire list I have not seen. Just to also highlight, because I forgot to say this. At this point, Avengers, I don't think I watched Iron Man in theaters, but Avengers is the first movie I watched in theaters. And
by the way, I did look it up. Avengers is the first Disney movie that was distributed by Disney.
I thought so. Okay. But yeah, Avengers is the first movie that I've seen. And then I didn't really start paying attention to like the theatrical releases until the second Avengers. So that's why I had to go back and watch a lot of this early stuff. But like Avengers 2 and up, like I've watched from theaters every time. I never missed a release. But Thor 2, Dark World, I have not seen this at all. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on it. What is the vibe on Thor 2?
For a long time, Thor 2 was in so many people's minds the worst Marvel movie ever made, and I agree with that. I really do. I It's not a good movie. It was the first Marvel villain that was just so generic and so bad. The character had no personality. Now Thor, as Chris Hemsworth as Thor, has come into his own as Thor by this point. And there's also less Loki in this one, so that's what brings it down for a lot of people as well. So I think this is our first F tier movie, for right now, because it is bad. The action's not great. The plot isn't really that good. So yeah, it's kind of a trash Marvel movie. It's not that good.
Yeah, I just don't have any fun with this one. So I'm with you right here. We're putting this in F.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's not it. Okay. Next is Captain America 2, Winter Soldier. Great
Whew.
movie. I like
Great
this movie.
movie. Great
Great
movie.
movie. Go ahead. How do you feel about it?
It's always in my top five. Whenever we're talking Marvel, whenever anyone says, "What's your top five Marvel movies?" This is in my top five because it was the first Marvel movie of its kind. Right? It's kind of a political thriller slash action movie, slash drama, whatever. It's got some nice comedic moments. It's got it all. So I love this movie. This movie has a team up of Cap and Black Widow, which was a lot of fun, which was kind of had some undertones of some chemistry there. We get introduced to Falcon, aka Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie. Really good. We get the whole reveal that Hydra has been behind a lot of what has happened in the Marvel universe. We get that it has infiltrated Shield. We get a lot of Shield stuff. We get a lot of Nick Fury stuff in here. So really, really, really good movie. I would put this right behind Avengers in the S tier. For right now, that's where I would put it. I don't know how you feel about that ranking. I think you would probably put it above Avengers if I was guessing. But you tell me how you're
Um,
feeling.
so I like this movie a lot. It is a high tier. Um, Huh. I was trying to convince myself to put it in A, but no, I really do like this movie a lot. I really just love Bucky, especially like the early phases of the MCU. I really like Bucky a lot, and I really enjoyed like just seeing him again and just seeing like the whole storyline with him. Also, really, as you said, really like Falcon's edition. I was very iffy on him at first. I'm like, this guy is like a bona fide sidekick at this point, but he's proven himself to me over time that like. Uh, Looking at back at it now, I really do like Falcon, and yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you fully. I do want to. I think I will. You think so? You will put it above Avengers, or I mean above behind Avengers?
Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that. I will watch Avengers before I watch Captain America too.
Yeah, and
But
just
it's
I forgot about the Bucky of all. The Bucky of it all was just
yeah, it's
so good.
amazing,
The fight
amazing.
choreography in this movie, over the top, fantastic. I think this was the first outing for the Russo brothers, who is going to leave a big impression on the Marvel universe from here on out. Up until Endgame, they were one of the driving forces behind what was happening in Marvel.
Yeah,
So just from here out, this was really the sweet spot in Marvel. I think from Winter Soldier on up until Endgame is the MCU's sweet spot. Is the MCU's they can do no wrong, basically era. So yeah, I think where we got it now is good. We'll
okay,
see where we move it, going forward, but you can do no wrong with Winter Soldier. I would watch if Winter Soldier came on cable and I was flipping channels, I would stay
yeah.
and watch it. I've watched it on Disney Plus a couple times. And I'm like, I got nothing
Mhm.
better to do. What can I watch? Winter Soldier. Click it on. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Awesome. Okay. Next we have Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I I was pretty mid on it for a long time, but I have a lot of appreciation for all the Guardians movies. There's a specific order, but I really like this movie a lot. I think the beginning specifically, where you're actually, and this is why I kind of want it with the Avengers. I'm not going to lie. I know it's different because there's other movies that are kind of like forming this team over time. But the formation of the Guardians in this movie was just so authentic to me. Where like they're getting thrown into jail together, and then they got to all break out, and like they just kind of work. It's like a gang, a group full of just like idiots, but like it's still like they get it. They work well together. I really enjoy Gamora as a character. I've really appreciated her over the years. Star-Lord he's very consistent in all the movies, but he's one of the characters I actually like laugh at some of his jokes because he's just like such a dummy. And then Rocket and Groot, oh my god, amazing characters, and I've loved how they progressed over time. And then lastly is oh my god, what is
Drax?
Thank you. Drax, out of all the movies, this is his weakest movie in my opinion, but I still enjoy him. I will say that. There is one thing that this movie has that I wish a lot more of the movies in the Guardians and the MCU in general touched up on, which is the Nova Corps. I really want to see them do something with that. They're allegedly getting a show at some point, but I love the Nova Corps in this. Like I was like, this is awesome, So the only thing I was like on was the villain. Sucked. I don't really care much for him. But from the Groot death and we're getting exposed to Infinity Stones again, and the Guardian storyline in general, it's just like so important to like future events because Thanos is directly involved, and I just had so much fun with this. James Gunn killed this movie, and it stands the test of time, in my opinion. I loved it.
Up until Guardians, we had heard so much of, Marvel did it right because they built up every single character of the Avengers so we can get to this Avengers movie. The Guardians proved they probably didn't need to do that because you brought together these random characters who before Guardians came out, walked down the street, be like, who are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I didn't know
I
who
have
they were.
no freaking idea.
Yeah.
I knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were because I'm a nerd. I'm a huge Marvel nerd. I'm a huge Marvel Comics nerd. Let me say that. So I knew, and even I knew like very basic facts about the Guardians because even before the Guardians movie, the Guardians weren't the it thing in comics. You would get them every now and then, but once Guardians hits the movie, I should say, it's like, oh my god, this is fantastic. This is when Guardians like skyrockets in the mainstream in media and in the comic industry. So the chemistry between the cast is bar none unparalleled. Now we have to take points off for the villain and for the terrible final fight, which was the dance off really just bring it. The movie was at such a high, and the dance off moment just brings it crashing down to earth.
Here?
Yeah. You think about the sequences in the movie. The opening sequence with Star-Lord, Peter Quill dancing through the mud, kicking that little alien thing. It's like, oh, okay. And the soundtrack. I might want to put this in the A category for the soundtrack alone. I was listening to the soundtrack for a year straight after this movie came out. Because it was that good. So many like classic hits I'd never heard before, and just earworm in my ear after that. So for all those reasons, it's really, really, really good. I'm not going to put it in the S tier for me. I'm
with you an A.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the A tier. That's for sure. Not iconic, but just really, really, really solid. And the watchability is up there too. The rewatchability is up there, I should say, because it's one of those I can watch again, and I'll be thrilled, and I'll enjoy my experience rewatching it over and over and over again.
Oh, also, I forgot to even mention the Collector, the whole scene where he's explaining what the Celestials and the great time all
this
around.
This is where we get the first official explanation of the Infinity Stones and what they are and all that. So yeah, just really, really solid movie. Really good.
All right. Next we have a very controversial movie. Some people, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Now, how do you feel about this movie, Jason? Before I give my input.
This is another one of those movies that grew appreciation over time for me. Coming out of it, I was like, wow, that was good. That was okay. But then I let the group think get to me, Isaiah. I let the people who told me of Age of Ultron was trash get in my head, and I was for a long time thinking, Age of Ultron's not that good of a movie. It's not good. But then some time ago, I rewatched it, and I was like, what is everybody talking about? This movie is great. This movie is really, really good because for so many reasons. This is the only Avengers movie where when you come in, you feel the Avengers are lived in. You feel that they have been a team, that they have chemistry, that this is the most stable lineup of Avengers you're gonna get. They have been a team for a while. They're in the midst of things. We get that awesome opening scene where they're taking out Hydra goons in the snow and they're all working together. I remember geeking out so hard on when the trailer premiered, probably on a Super Bowl or whatever, where you get that shot of all of them just in a line in midair where they're in the middle of their battle poses. And I'm like, I'm like geeking out. And it's really good from beginning to end. You get really good action sequences throughout. You get really good chemistry. Now we do have the unfortunate Black Widow Hulk romance that came out of nowhere and was touched upon for this one movie, and then they were like, we're not, this didn't go over well, so we're not going to touch on it again. There's that. But I thought this was really good throughout. The Ultron design was a little wonky at times, but Ultron was a good villain. I will contend that. You get Ultron, you get Claw in this movie, which is going to tee us up for Black Panther later. So very, 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 very good movie to me. What do you think, Isaiah? What do you think of it?
I've never hated this movie, and I was always confused why people hate it. Maybe it's because Ultron is a lot more sarcastic and has a personality to people. Like they wanted,
he was a little campy. He was definitely a little campy. Yeah. I'll give them that. But yeah,
they wanted emotionless, But just the chemistry, like the one, and it's not even that important, but the small little scene where everyone's trying to lift Thor's hammer, and you see Steve Rogers move it for a second.
That whole
payoff.
That whole party scene, is what you ask for when you think of an Avengers universe. You want all your people coming together, even in casual street clothes. That's one of the reasons I love this movie, because we don't get that a lot. We don't get the Avengers everyday life, what they do when they're not battling. We don't get that a lot, but we got it here, and it was so fun. It was so good. The chemistry between the cast is at an all-time high. And then, you get the introduction of Vision, of Scarlet Witch, and you get the turn with Quicksilver, which was just like, whoa, didn't see that coming. So all those things make it just one of the better Marvel movies out there.
People need to give it the respect it's due, because I will watch this movie over and over. I really like this movie. Now where I'm playing, so if you're asking me, this is an S tier. I don't know about you. This is me personally, only because if I have Captain America, Winter Soldier up there, I feel like this movie is better than that. That's me, because I just really enjoyed. I really tried to rank my movies off of rewatchability, but that's just me. I will put it in the middle of Avengers 1 and the Captain America 2. How do you feel?
I would put this in A tier above Guardians.
So I think it measures out to be top of here then, because if it'll either be there or here, I'm fine with the top of A. I also don't want S tier to get flooded, but I really do like this, and I think especially with what they did with Ultron or What If, I really enjoy it. Also, I forget what the guy's name is, but I remember he played Robert California in The Office. Fun voice actor for this character. I forget what his name is.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm blanking on his name too.
Well, I saw when I saw him in The Office, I thought he was hilarious.
He's the guy on Blacklist too. Shit, what is his name?
I don't know.
Blacklist actor. I know it. I'm blanking on it right now. Blacklist actor James Spader. That's who it is.
James Spader. There you go. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so the next one is Ant-Man 1. Okay, so I don't feel like this is another mid pick for me. I think Ant-Man, and I'm curious to see how we feel about it as time goes, because I don't think about Ant-Man, and that's crazy. He is a fun character as not the main character. I've enjoyed him in the Avengers movies. I've enjoyed him in the Captain America movie, but him in this, he's fun to see his origin, how he learns how to use a suit. It's fun to see him turn to a small guy. Then he turns, his fight scenes are fun, but one Stinger is very boring. Obviously there's a huge payoff in the way later in the future with what they do with him, but they didn't plan that originally. They probably made him like a one and done, right? So I don't really care. That's a Stinger, Yellow Jacket. Sorry, I don't care about Yellow Jacket. Also, the best part of this movie is his side characters. Like like his friends, like T.I. and the other guy. Like he keeps telling like everything. That is hilarious. It's probably one of the best, the funniest characters in the MCU. But yeah, like out of all the Ant-Man movies, I'm not going to say it's the best. I'm also not going to say it's the worst. There is a definite worst to me, and it's not this one. So this is a C for me. It's cool. It happened. It's not terrible, but it's just like, okay. Like what's next?
Spoiler alert for my opinions. I don't think I have an Ant-Man movie above D tier.
Wow.
I just he doesn't do it for me. He's good in the role, but the movies themselves are just like, I could definitely leave it. If they said take it or leave it, Jason, I say leave it. I say let him show up in Avengers movies and let him do his kind of comedic thing. That's fine. But the movies themselves are just like, they're not that great. They're not that good.
Yeah.
They're fine. If I listen, Marvel movies in general. Would I say there's a trash, awful Marvel movie in the grand scheme of things? Probably not. I don't know if I would say trash. I would just say I'd say bad. I would say not great. I wouldn't say trash. I wouldn't say the most awful movie I've ever seen. I'd put a lot of these F tier movies that we're going to have over a lot of the DC properties.
Absolutely.
In the recent past.
Okay.
In the recent past.
There you go.
So for Ant-Man, if it was up to me, I'd put Ant-Man in the bottom of the D tier, right after Iron Man 3.
Then it's going to be because I would have had to.
Why don't you put it behind Iron Man 2 then? If you want,
I don't feel strongly. It was going to be behind C, right? I mean, behind Iron Man 2. If yours is at the bottom of D, it's going to be like second in D then, like to equal it out.
That's fine. Here's the thing with me. I think the MCU after Iron Man, Thor, Cap, all these other solo properties. And I'm talking about your Ant-Man, I'm talking about your Doctor Stranges, I'm talking about your Captain Marvels. I don't think they've done a great job of introducing a lot of these solo characters. So we'll talk about that more as we go through. But like with an Ant-Man, it's like, I like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. He's fine.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if giving him solo movies is the move.
Especially a trilogy. I will say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How he had more movies than Black Panther? I understand we have a extenuating circumstance with Black Panther, but damn, man, like you want an Ant-Man out there before a Black Panther? Come on,
to fight King. We'll get to that. I got some opinions on that. But next is honestly, this should be called Avengers 3, but it's not. This is Captain America: Civil War. This was a big deal when it first came out. A whole lot of commercials, a whole lot of voting. We got Black Panther and Spider-Man for the first time, which was epic. We got Zemo, which I don't know about how I feel about Zemo in the cinematic world, but we got a whole lot of drama between Captain America and Iron Man, and it was great. We have the Sokovia Accords. We have a very powerful scene where like Tony's like realizing like these casualties and like the mother showing her son. That was crazy. And like I was like, okay, I understand Iron Man's train of thought. I was like, I personally, even though it sucks, would be on the Iron Man side of things. There's a lot of people who'll be on the Captain America side of things where it's like, I don't want to listen to the government. Like there's a lot of messed up stuff going around, but I hated Captain America in this movie, especially when him and Bucky jumped Tony at the end of it. But I understood why he did it. Like this was fantastic writing all around, and just the introduction to Spider-Man. I don't know how immediate this was because of contracts and stuff, but like Spider-Man's introduction, this was, oh my God, Spider-Man is my second favorite hero of all the time. So I was so excited. Tom Holland did a great job here. We also got Black Panther that set up the Black Panther movie. Epic. Like it just so much. The fights with Scarlet Witch and Vision and everyone just going against each other. It was just such a fun ride all around, and I really love this movie. This is an S in my opinion. I don't know about you, but I could watch this movie over and over, and I would never get sick of it. It's such a good movie.
When you think of, you know, comic book event movies, this is one of the top. This is fantastic. You've got all the heroes you could ever wish or dream of in this movie. As you said, it's a Captain America movie in name only. It might as well be another Avengers movie. I think a lot of people do call this Avengers 2.5 because of how obviously it's an Avengers movie, obviously. And I freaking love the plot of this movie where you're going, we're finding Bucky. You know, you get Cap and Falcon and Bucky together as you know, a trio. Once Bucky comes to their side and stuff, the interplay between Bucky and Falcon in a lot of these scenes is so great. I think about the introduction of Spider-Man and he's tracking down Falcon and Bucky and how funny and fun that was. The introduction of Spider-Man, the introduction of Black Panther, just so many epic moves in
Oh my
this.
god, War Machines taking the L. Oh my god,
Well,
it's crazy.
You know, Rhodey gets paralyzed, and it's like there's so much going on here, and it doesn't ever feel overpacked. Which they had the you know the danger of that, right? Of this feeling like too much, but I think they really managed the load really well. Because this almost all of this worked for me, except for Zemo was really but he did his role in breaking the Avengers, right? A lot of people say Zemo is one of the most effective villains in the Marvel universe because he accomplished his goal. He broke the Avengers in two, right? He got them to turn against each other. But you know, in a way of entertainment, he didn't really do it for me. He was just kind of there. But what he inspired in a way, because that end Cap, Bucky, Iron Man fight, oh, gold. Love it. Love the brutalness of it. Love the fight choreography of that, right? And we talk about now in Marvel movies, like, oh, all the MCU movies are the same. They come down to fighting a CGI monster by the end. But this was a personal, very like 2-on-1 fight at the end, which was our climactic, you know, fight scene. And then what this sets up for later, as we get into like kind of the epilogue of the movie, where Cap has broken out his fellow Avengers, and they're going to be the secret Avengers, which I think is one of the biggest missed opportunities Marvel has ever had, which was not to follow that up with just anything of a secret Avengers of Cap and Falcon and Black Widow and Vision and Scarlet Witch. They should have given them a whole movie to run with before Infinity War, which is kind of the next step in this evolution. So this is a fantastic movie. It's everything you ever want in a Marvel team up movie, in a Marvel movie where you have all your heroes together. So yes, this is S tier for me. I think this might just be my I'm like adrenaline's up right now. I might put this like in between Iron Man and Avengers for me, in the S tier. That's where I would put it.
I'm okay with that. I would have put it at the very top personally, but we can do that. Like I said, very top. We gotta both agree on that. So I'm with that. It's just one spot. Like also to even think about it, this sets up so many movies, even to this day, with unfortunately Secret Invasion. You see what happened there, but it sets that up. Black Widow, the ending of that movie. It sets up so many events. Black Panther. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So great movie all around. Okay. Doctor Strange 1. Oof. I am just like, I don't know how to feel about this movie, because it's like, first of all, I think Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange 1 only acts like this in this movie. Every other movie, he is like so much different personality wise. I feel like he's a lot more wiser and obviously still irresponsible, but he acts a little bit more like, I am Doctor Strange, you know, later on. Like this one, he feels like a Tony Stark at the beginning a little bit, and then like he kind of turns into this hero. The fight scenes are fine, but I don't really, you know, wasted Dormammu, but that was hilarious. Dormammu, I've come to bargain, hilarious meme. But the villains in this movie, I could care less for. Obviously, I think her name is the wise one or the ancient one. I forget what her name is, but the ancient one. She comes to play later, obviously. But I think it's a fun verse within Marvel. I'm very curious to see what they do in the next Doctor Strange. 'Cause I think that can be like peak Doctor Strange, I hope. But like here I'm just like, okay, like this is cool, I guess. Like I didn't really I'm never like going out of my way to rewatch it. I've rewatched it one time. I've seen this movie 2 times in my life because I'm just like, I feel like I've seen everything that I need to see. The best part is probably him learning how to use his powers in the Eye of Agamotto. Like that's the greatest portion of this, just like seeing the origin of the hero. But like the fights and stuff, I'm just like, okay. I like the effects. That's about it.
I would say I had my little thing about the solo people coming in and Marvel doing a great job after the big three. I would say Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is a very good casting choice. I like how he plays it. I'll say that. It's just the movie itself doesn't do a lot for me. It's just like,
Yeah.
that was good. I will give it like the innovation of it all. This was the first movie that really did a lot with perspective, and it had the whole like it kind of copied a little bit off Inception with the making the whole city move and the mirror
Yeah.
universe and all that. So I'll give it that. I'll give it the innovation. I'll give it that it brought us to a new world. It showed us new things. So I'll be a little generous with this. And I'll say, what do we have in C right? Is that Iron Man 3 in C right now? No,
Iron
that's Iron
Man
Man 2.
2. I would put it under
Um,
Iron Man 2.
yeah, I'll put it under Iron Man 2 in C right now.
Okay. I'm with that. It took chances and I respect that.
Yeah.
Okay. So next is Guardians 2. I spoke about Guardians 1 last time first. How about you go? How you feel about Guardians 2?
Guardians 2 is definitely a step down from Guardians 1. Let's get that
Yeah.
out of the way. The team chemistry was still there. We got Baby Groot, which a lot of people fell in love with, at that time. But it was a fine movie. Okay, it was okay. I would say I would honestly say C tier for me. Well, how about what do you think about Guardians 2?
Baby Groot's fine. The music in all the 3 movies is fantastic,
Yeah.
obviously. Ego, unfortunately, I do feel like Ego was wasted because I actually enjoyed Ego in this. Obviously, they've done a lot more with him in What If, and also God, who's the blue guy's name? Yondu. Yondu is great in this movie. I love Yondu.
Yes.
But the golden people, like I feel like there's so much focus on them just for Adam Warlock to do basically nothing in like the next movie. I'm just like, okay, like this could have stayed like the beginnings credits characters that they just screw over and you never see them again. I felt like that's what they should have been. But I don't know, there's a lot juggling here. I still enjoy watching it. It's not out of the 3 of them, it's like the weakest, but it's not like bad, so like this was a C or a B for me. If C, no, this is a C for me. I can't put it over a lot of these. I'll put it like maybe above Doctor Strange if it were me. What did you say you would put it?
I put it in. I would agree with that. I would put it in C in between
Okay.
the 2 there. So yeah, I think that's a
Okay.
good placement for it. It's
Okay.
fine. It's. I would say it's good, right? I would say good, not great. I would say good, fine, mid as we have it is a great designation
Yeah.
for it. Mid.
And I forgot. We also get Mantis. She joins, and we also get God, what's Gamora's sister's name? So many characters.
Nebula. Yeah.
Nebula. Fun character. I like Nebula a lot. So there you go. Okay. Now we have our first official Spider-Man movie, Homecoming. Now look, I love Spider-Man. I love Toby. I love Andrew. I'm not gonna lie. Up until recently, I felt like there was no good Spider-Man movies from Disney, and I fell asleep watching Homecoming in theaters the first time I watched it, and I was just like very confused. Listen, I think Vulture is a fun villain in this. Not the Vulture I was expecting, but like, I feel like this is the beginning of my biggest problem with Tom Holland Spider-Man, which is the stories are very reliant on Tony Stark tech and Tony Stark in general. And I didn't feel like Spider-Man was being his own hero. I felt like he was a sidekick. And it's crazy because he's not sidekicking anyone in any of these movies. He's a sidekick though, and it's crazy. I just didn't care much for this movie. Now, I did rewatch this recently, and I like it a little bit more than I did then. But it's still kind of weak. You know, like the ending's cool, where he figures out how to beat Vulture and his crew without Tony Stark tech, you know, but it felt forced. I didn't really care much about it. Tom Holland is a great actor though in this. I think he's a great Spider-Man. I also like Zendaya, but I don't like how it feels like he's a Spider-Man with no repercussions for any of his actions, and it just goes right back to where he was beforehand. That's not Spider-Man for me. So with that, this is either a bottom C or a top of D for me. But how do you feel about Homecoming?
All right, let me preface this by saying I am a Spider-Man purist. Spider-Man is my favorite comic character of all time.
Okay.
No competition. All time. As a Spider-Man purist, I could not, maybe still cannot stand what they did with the Spider-Man of the MCU.
Yeah.
Because as you said, they gave this Peter Parker / Spider-Man, they gave him everything out the gate. He's got the Tony Stark tech. He's got all this. I'm used to the Peter Parker, the Parker luck, where this guy just cannot catch a freaking break. He is downtrodden. He's got to do it all himself. He's got to mix up all the chemicals himself. He's got to do all that stuff himself. He does not have an artificial intelligence. He does not have Stark tech. He does not have all that. That the Spider-Man I'm used to does not have all that. This is Zendaya. She's great. Not my MJ. Okay. I was upset by the fact that they took the traditional MJ and just took it out, threw out the window, says, no, this is MJ. This is not MJ. This is not MJ. I'm fine with Zendaya. I'm fine with whatever you make her, but she is not MJ. And they even went as far as to make the initials MJ, not Mary Jane. I'm like, okay, well, what are we even doing here? Why are we even doing that?
Yeah.
Tom Holland, great actor. He's a good Peter Parker. Yeah. My favorite Peter Parker is still Andrew Garfield. I'll say that.
Agreed.
Tom Holland is my middle choice. Tobey Maguire, I hate the Tobey Maguire Peter Parker with a passion. I'll say that. I like those movies in spite of Tobey Maguire. But Tom Holland does a good job here as Peter Parker. But the characterization of Peter Parker / Spider-Man in here was not my favorite at all. That said, I liked the movie, right? I liked the plot. I liked how personal of a story it was. I liked the Vulture. I liked that he was trying to get with Liz Allen, and the Vulture is, Liz Allen's father. I liked all that. Yeah, I like Tom Holland enough that I would put this in B under Captain America. That's where I would put it.
So if that's definitely going to put it around here. If I said bottom of B, you said right, it'll be like right here. No, that's fine. Okay. I will push back on this though. I think I retract my statement. Andrew is my favorite Spider-Man, actually, out of all of them. I think Tom is my favorite Peter. I will say I don't care much for Tobey Spider-Man or Peter, but I think he has the best movies and the best world and the best villains out of all three of them, which is why I see all the villains come to this movie.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that part of it. The Tom Holland Peter for me just doesn't ring true to who Peter Parker is for me traditionally, because Peter Parker traditionally is so down his luck all the time, but this Peter Parker, he gets it all. He gets all the girls. He gets everything. It's weird to me because that's not the Peter Parker I know. Peter Parker. Peter Parker has to work hard for everything he gets traditionally. This Peter has everything handed to him.
See, I think he's the better Peter Parker actor, but the writing that heavily like trash. Like I will say that. Like I get what they were going for, but this is just the beginning of my Spider-Man ripping Spider-Man apart, and I hate it. He's one of my. Batman's my favorite. He's right after. Okay, so it's like I hate it. I hate that I have to do this, but these movies irritate me. But anyway, I got a lot more coming for that. All right, so next is the first Thor movie I've seen, in my opinion, the best Thor movie they've done out the four, which is crazy. Why does Thor have 4 movies? Like let's talk about it. But we have Thor Ragnarok. This is an easy ask for me. I don't know how you feel about it. I love Thor Ragnarok. I coming from a guy who just did not care about Thor or what was going on with the storyline. Him and Loki are so fun in this movie. Hulk coming back after him being missing for God knows how long was great. I like Valkyrie. She's awesome addition to the MCU. And just everything with the story. Helga, she's great. I think she's a fun villain. I really liked her. She's actually menacing. She's powerful. She's a great actress. I liked all of it. I think the implications leaving this, Asgard's destroyed. They all have to go on a ship afterwards. And then obviously Thanos does what he does later on. One of my favorite scenes was when she was going through like the treasure vault and she's like, oh, like the ice box, this is weak. This the gauntlet, this is fake. Oh, this is interesting.
So good.
I loved it. It was great.
That is a scene that's because it's poking fun at itself because we saw that scene in the first Thor, which they totally just, did away with because we got Thanos making his own gauntlet. So like, what even was that? So I love that when she did that as she walks through and trashes everything. That was definitely fun. Ragnarok for me is definitely up there. I don't know if I personally would have it as S. I would probably have it at the top of the A tier. But as you said, so much fun. Chris Hemsworth is firing on all cylinders as Thor in this. This is the peak of Thor, of who he is. The bravado, the swagger of Thor is on point here. And the fights, the thing with Hulk, so good, so great. There's not really a weak point in any of the movie. But for me, it's not up at that iconic S tier. I would put it at the beginning of A for me.
So if this was S, it was going to be bottom of S looking at this. So I'm okay with top of S. I mean top of A.
Okay.
Great movie though. In the last movie that Thor was great in, unfortunately. I said Thor. Actually no. Thor is good in another movie. Hulk. That's what I'm thinking of. Last movie Hulk's great in, unfortunately for me. But okay. Black Panther 1. How do you feel about it?
I feel really good about it. It's definitely an A tier. I'll say something that is definitely a hot take and is gonna get me a lot of hate. It's gonna get me a lot of hate. I don't care. Do I want to say this?
Say it.
I think Chadwick Boseman is one of the weaker elements of this movie.
Okay.
I think he's great. Let me give it to you that way. He is great as T'Challa. There's no doubt about that. He is great as T'Challa. I just think all the elements around him are so good that they overshadow him as T'Challa. They did not give him as T'Challa a lot to do in this movie. I got a lot more wit and charisma out of T'Challa in Civil War than I did here. I got everything from I am blanking on all the names of the characters. Denai Guerrera's character.
Okay.
Out of Shuri. I thought all of those components worked. Killmonger, obviously. I thought all those components worked better than T'Challa in this movie. I thought they all overshadowed him in his own movie.
Yeah, I really like Okoye, Shuri, Killmonger.
That's what I was blanking on.
Oh, you're good. Darren Kaluga's character, all of them. They're great. Even the fight at the beginning where it's Black Panther, he has to fight against who's the guy from the other tribe, the gorilla group.
Oh my goodness,
you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
But that was all great. Michael B. Jordan,
M'Baku.
Yeah. He's a great character overall over time as well. I enjoyed him. But I love Michael B. Jordan in this movie. He's great.
Yes.
I think he really brings Killmonger alive. I don't mind Chadwick. I like Chadwick a lot in this movie too. I just think
I like him. I like him. I just don't think they showcased him enough in this movie and what he can do because, like I said, I think he's the weaker character in this.
Yeah.
They don't give him a lot to do. They really let everyone else in the movie shine more than him, which is my issue with it.
I think his strongest point is when he's in the afterlife to talk to his dad again. I think that's the best portion for him. But yeah, I agree. On the base level, for a movie character specifically, it was a lot better in Civil War, in my opinion. But regardless, this cast overall is great, and I still would watch this over and over again.
Yes.
As far as where I'm ranking it, it's tough because A is pretty stacked. Is it a hot take to put this at top of A, or is this
I think I would put
Ragnarok?
it. I think I would put it second A behind
I'm with
Ragnarok.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I really like Ragnarok. That's I'm like this. I'm gonna just keep it straight. All four of these, like A and up, I will watch over and over again. I have no
Yes.
problem with any of these
100%.
movies. Yeah,
100%.
so
They
I'm
catch
with
my eye anytime they're on cable. I'm just like, oh, wait a minute.
yeah,
Like
great
let's
movie.
let's stay here for a bit. I got a good part coming up that I want to see, and
Yeah.
then when that part stops, like okay, well, there's another good part coming up I want to see. So I've basically watched the whole movie by the end of it when I didn't
Oh,
really
oh
have
my
time to.
god.
I never intended to. But the introduction to Wakanda is so
So
iconic
awesome.
and so fantastic. That's part of what really makes it stand out for me.
And two more things to even highlight. You got literally Bucky's is in Wakanda still. What else you got? You got the Killmonger scene where he goes to the afterlife and talks to his dad. That was crazy. And lastly, God, I had such a good point that I wanted to bring up. If I could think of it. Oh, Kendrick Lamar's soundtrack for this is awesome. By the way, I forgot to bring it.
Yes.
Really enjoyed the album. So good for this. Okay. This is not in order, but it's okay. Is it in order? No, it is. Okay. We have Avengers Infinity War. Yeah, I think that's Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because the next one is Endgame after that. So Avengers Infinity War. S tier. I like there's not much to talk about for me.
Listen, there's not much even to say about it. You got everyone here. You got the fight against Thanos. You got everything is ramped up to this. We got the Infinity Stone saga coming to a head.
Amazing,
you got,
bro.
and then just the mind. I saw this at a midnight showing, and had no idea what would happen at the end was going to happen. I had no idea everybody's getting dusted. I was just like, and it just blew everyone's minds. And it's just in those moments where people are getting dusted, and you got people, Peter Parker, like, Mr. Stark, I'm sorry. Like, it's like, oh,
it's crazy, man.
It just breaks you, and it's just like, wow, what the heck did I just watch? This was so good, so fun. You got all your character pairings you always wanted to see. It phenomenal out of the park.
Guardians versus Doctor Strange and Toby and Tony. Oh, that was awesome. What else? God, there was literally Gamora getting killed off, and you see Red Skull again. That was crazy. This is Thanos' movie. I'm just being honest. This is Thanos' movie. And he was so hyped up for so long, and I got everything that I needed.
It could have easily been a letdown, but it wasn't.
Yes.
It was even better than what we had been promised.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I say put it straight to the top. Like
I'm with it. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, this probably has the most rewatch value out of all the movies, in my opinion. Love this movie. Great. We go from that great movie, and we go from the top to the bottom. This movie, I think. The next two movies, personally, get argumentatively maybe the next four, but we'll get there. Have this easy pass at the time when they were coming out that like, all right, this has something to do with Infinity War, so I have to go see it. And this is probably one of the weakest Marvel movies out of all of them. And this is Ant-Man 2. I think the payoff, obviously, for the longest time was like, why did I go see this movie? But now that we know Ghost is coming back in Thunderbolts, and the post-credit scene is the most important thing out of all this, it's like, okay, there is a reason to watch this because Ghost is coming back. Ant-Man is stuck in the quantum realm. Even seeing the quantum realm, you see the little city in the background when they're growing out of there. There's payoffs to this. I get it. But I don't care about this movie. I feel like you can go into Ant-Man 3 and never watch this movie and be perfectly fine. All you need to know is that they get his wife out the quantum realm and Ghost exists. That's it.
or you could do the right thing and just never watch Ant-Man 3. Right?
Just don't. This movie is a F for me. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen Thor: Dark World, so I can't say it's worse than that. But I don't care about this movie. I will say the best scenes is from Wasp in her fights. I think she has great fights in this. I think she's memorable, but I don't care about Wasp either. Like, she doesn't really do much in the MCU other than being Hank Pym's daughter. So it's like, I don't care about this movie. I don't need to see this ever again. And this is an easy F for me.
Yes, easy F because it's a waste, right? And this is coming off Infinity War. We're just like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what comes after Infinity War, but it barely even touched on Infinity War until and that's the problem with these next, this movie, the next movie is that
Yeah.
we're coming off of Infinity War. We're just like, what's next? What's next? But these two movies basically just are a waste of time until we get to what we're waiting for, which at one point helps it because this is the high of the Marvel universe. I think a lot of people probably were in their Marvel universe high and we're just like and watch these movies like, oh, this is so great. I love Ant-Man and the Wasp. When you really look at it, it's not a good movie. It's just not. So I also put it in F tier. I would put it probably above Thor: Dark World though.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I put it. It's just it's a waste of our time.
From here on out, I can see them being a possible couple of bottom tier movies. They're or series. They're coming up. So this is the start of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just got so lucky that this got released after Infinity War because no one was going to watch this otherwise. Next we have Captain Marvel, which is This was I didn't care about it. Like I will say, this is another thing that has payoffs in the future. But after watching the Secret Invasion, I'm like, why do I care about Skrulls at this point? I think this movie, and I don't know if this is a hot take, Carol Danvers does her thing, but it's really carried by Nick Fury, in my opinion. Like, I really enjoyed Sam Jackson in this one, and the guy who played Coulson again. Like I really enjoyed them in this one, and I think this felt more like I'm not gonna say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but this felt more like a Samuel Jackson movie more than a Captain Marvel movie. Like this was great for his character. Captain Marvel, I think she doesn't have a lot of personality in this movie. And it gets touched up on a little bit more in the Marvels, but I don't know. I just don't care about a lot that's going on with the Kree and the Skrulls and everything in general. I didn't care about it then, and I don't care about it now. It's a D tier for me. I mean, it's not bad. There's some fun moments, but I don't know. Like, okay, it exists. That's how I feel about it.
There was a lot of build up to the Captain Marvel debut. When Brie Larson got cast as Captain Marvel, I was like, what? I don't know. And then the movie comes out, and I'm still like, I don't know. This isn't great because the person, we think of Robert Downey Jr. We think of a lot of our Avengers team, our first Avengers team. We're like, oh, all these people just dripping personality, dripping charisma, dripping wit. No, this is not for Carol Danvers. She had, as you said, zero personality. She came across as very robotic, which I didn't like at all. So for me, I'd probably put this at the end of C. Is where I would put this.
I'm putting this in D, and I'm talking like close to the bottom, so it's going to be like up here then. Okay.
That's fine. That's
fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's something. The infiltration spy scene is probably my favorite out of all of them. Okay. Next we got Endgame. How do you feel about Endgame?
Zoop, straight to the top.
All right.
Now the first half of Endgame, a little iffy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do I care about Steve and Tony going to the past and meeting Tony's dad and Steve meeting Peg again? Like, I could definitely probably leave that. Do I care about the Hulk being the ancient one? Not really. I could cut that. Don't really need that either. But once we get the re-snap of everyone back,
the movie takes off.
You could have given that to me as the movie, and I'd be like, "This is mind blowing," right? Because you get so much good stuff in there. You get the battles. You get Tony taking when you get Cap, Thor, and Iron Man battling Thanos. The original the big three, right? Just taking it to Thanos and all the things that happen. The build up to Avengers Assemble in these movies, they teased us several times up until now of Cap saying Avengers Assemble. He finally says it. He finally gets that moment. He lifts Mjolnir, the portals moment. Oh my gosh. After this movie came out, I spent probably about 2 or 3 years. If I was ever in a down moment, I would watch that Portals segment and like I'd be like, I'm okay now because
Yeah.
it was just so fantastic. Everything you could ever want out of the event, out of Marvel, out of the Avengers. This is the culmination of so much, and it hits so good. And we get the ultimate sacrifice at the end
Oh my
by
god.
Tony
Yeah.
Stark.
Yeah.
It's like you knew someone was dying out of here. I went into Endgame thinking this was Cap is dead. Cap is done.
Yeah.
Because at that point we knew that Chris Evans was done. I think we'd also known that RDJ was probably going to be done, but just it hits you like a ton of bricks in the moment in the theater. This is one of the best movie theater experiences you could ever have.
Yes.
Right in these moments where Cap gets Mjolnir, where Tony dies, all that you get the cheers and the screams and all that. Yes, so
yeah.
It's an experience in the movie theater. I saw this movie probably about 5 times in the theater, and it never disappointed. It never went down. The moment you get the thrill you get out of seeing some of these scenes is unparalleled in the Marvel universe. And I don't think, honestly, I don't know if they'll ever touch that again. I don't know if they'll ever touch that peak because they certainly haven't since. And it's such a high to attain. I don't know if we'll ever get there again.
You've said literally everything I was going to say. I was going to say this is peak Marvel. Even the Loki scene, I was like, why do I care about this? Huge payoff, obviously, in the future as well. But just the energy, even outside of the movie, like I remember I was working at the hospital and I was talking about the movie with my friend because I saw it with all of them, and someone was like, wait, I didn't hear it. Don't talk about it. Like there was a whole hashtag no spoil, and everyone in the world, as far as I was aware, honored it. Like no one spoiled the movie.
That was when the world was decent and people paid attention to spoiler alerts and all that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's no respect for spoilers. People are just out here spoiling everything the moment it comes out. But yeah, this is peak Marvel, the height of its powers, and we'll like I said, probably will never get there again. But let's just be thankful for what we had and how great it was.
Does this beat Infinity War?
Yes, for me it does.
Okay. My biggest problem with it is that this didn't need to. I understand why it was so long, but up until the time heist is over, I'm like, if I ever go back, like it, you have to watch it, obviously, but when you want to rewatch it, I honestly skip straight to the snap. Like that's all I care about. So that to the end.
The time heist was definitely a kind of could have been cut. And it could have made the movie shorter, but I think the beginning up until the time heist was good because we got to see this interesting world after the snap. The 5 years later, which I didn't even cross my mind that they would make a big time jump like that. And to see Black Widow leading this ragtag team of Avengers is so good.
And about Fat Thor too, actually.
Yeah, it really makes me. I've always said like my biggest thing about Marvel is their missed opportunities. And I want to show in the realm of like a what if, an animated show where you touch on these points, right? Like you get an episode with a mission with the Secret Avengers, with a Cap, Falcon, Black Widow, all them in between Civil War and Infinity War. You get an episode of that. You get an episode of the Black Widow Endgame Avengers. I would love to see something in that vein, right?
Yeah.
And you can do it animated. What If did a great job of getting people back for What If because it's animation. It's not as big of a time commitment. It's not as big as a struggle as live action for these people. So you can go to people and say, hey, just be an animation. And even if you can't get those people back, you can get sound alikes. The sound alike for Tony Stark in What If was fantastic. You could have fooled me, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think I would love if Marvel do something like that and touch upon these time periods in the MCU that we didn't really get a good touch on, like that, like the blip period, the 5-year blip, never really was taken advantage of. We never really got stories from that time period. I think it's a waste for Marvel to have just forgotten about that time period of their story. But yeah, so that middle time heist you could probably really shorten and I'd be fine. But the beginning and end of Endgame is what makes this movie for me.
All right. So we're done with the golden age. Let's get to the dark age of Marvel.
Dark reign, yeah.
hopefully this doesn't take as long because there's not a lot to talk about with a lot of these series, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Okay. We got this is Far From Home. Oh no, this
Yes,
is
this is Far
yeah,
From Home.
okay.
Yeah,
Far From Home. Another Tony Stark timepiece, where it feels like Peter
it was
is
almost Iron Man 4.
yes. This is the first movie after Endgame, so it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how the world is in the
Yes.
blip. And Mysterio was awesome. I
Yes.
actually enjoyed him a
Good
lot as a
villain. Very
villain.
good villain. Yeah.
But yeah, him being like Spider-Man being recruited again as like an Avenger, it has real no payoff actually.
Mhm.
Today, now after watching the last movie, it's very random, and I guess they were handing out the scrolls or whatever, but who cares at this point? This movie is the weakest Spider-Man movie in my opinion.
100%.
It sucks because even though Mysterio was great, again, it's carried off of Tony Stark tech in Tony Stark time. Lore. Like
Mhm.
he's doing what he does because of Tony, not because of what Peter does, and it takes place far away. Now, granted, we get Zendaya and Ned. I can't. I'm never going to call her MJ. Zendaya and Ned. Finding out that he's Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man versus Mysterio fight was epic, and there has some high points. And Spider Monkey, that was a funny little scene too. Like there's some fun parts here, but I don't care about this movie. I do think people should watch it, but like you don't need to keep watching. There's not a lot of rewatchability here. What are you gonna do? You like I'm what if about it. I'm whatever. Like it might be C. Man, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
There's a lot of like teenage angst in the movie.
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, it takes Peter Parker out of this environment, which is just like, not
yeah,
great. Again, Mysterio is a really good villain. I did like the kind of turn of Mysterio. I mean, we all knew it was coming, but it was a effective plot, I thought. But there are a lot of times I think in this movie, I'm just like, can we get to the action? Can we get to
yeah,
the point of this? Can we get to anything? And then, you know, for us to feel the loss of Tony through Peter is I thought we could have had a lot of different characters feel the loss. We could have seen, a whole bunch of people, Maria Hill, Nick Fury, to talk about the loss of Tony, but to have it through Peter's eyes, just like, I know he was your mentor, but you guys didn't really have a lot of screen time together.
yeah.
So it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I would put it at the end of C probably if I
I
had my
co-sign
way.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
co-sign that. Yeah, it's like it's whatever. It happened, but I don't really care much to actually watch it again. So there you go. All right, we have our first Disney Plus series, which is kind of fun because there's more than just one movie. It's a whole saga of episodes that are actually longer than the regular runtime of a movie. So interested to see how we rank these. WandaVision is our first one, and I really liked WandaVision. Actually, I think everyone loves the whole Agatha side. That's fine, but I really enjoyed just what they did on a episode by episode basis of like you're starting to see like they're actually in like a mind control reality change from Scarlet Witch. In every episode it's like themed off of a different style of television time periods. And we get Wu back, the Agent Wu, he's fun. We get the secretary chick who she's very relevant in
Uh,
a lot of these things
yeah,
though.
Darcy.
Yeah,
Yeah, from,
Darcy.
from Thor. We get the introduction of Tiana Paris's. My gosh, what again? Monica Rambeau.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, a lot of really good things here. It was a fun, kooky series,
White
right?
Vision show. I
Yeah, we
forgot.
haven't really seen a lot of things like
Yeah,
this, and I thought it was pretty effective.
yeah.
Um, for me, I'd probably put this in the B tier.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
yes, I'd probably put it right after Cap.
Yeah.
I put it in there. I thought it was a very effective at its job. It was fun. I'd say that.
It's not peak Disney Plus Marvel, but
Yeah, yeah.
it is one of the better ones, and I wouldn't mind rewatching it actually one day.
Mhm.
I agree. I will say the twins are annoying though. but that's
Yeah.
a I don't care for this. Oh, Quicksilver, he was also in this. That was cool too. From the X-Men, that was a
Mhm.
cool little cameo. All right, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know how
Ooh.
to feel about this because it's like I think Sam and Bucky individually, like their stories are fun, and I feel like their character growth individually was amazing in this series actually. But the villain takes up so much screen time. I just don't care about them at all either. They don't really have much of a payoff in this series, and it just kind of felt like a chore to even get through episodes at times. Obviously, the end result was cool. I like the Isaiah's story.
Mhm.
Isaiah's story was great at the end of it. I would like to see if we get Patriot in the future for the Young Avengers. We got to see if there's a payoff there. But it was cool. I remember watching this live. I stopped watching it and just let the episodes come out so I could binge it later. Because I was like, these villains bore me. And villains hold a lot of stake in me personally. So this is like maybe like a low C tier. I'm not gonna say it's trash, but I will say the new Captain America storyline was awesome. Where he killed the guy with the shield, and obviously we're going to see him again in uh
Thunderbolts.
yeah, US Agent. He was
Yeah.
great. I really love that storyline. That was awesome. That was the peak of the series for me. But how you feel about it?
I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought it would probably be a better movie than a TV series,
Yeah.
because at times the episodes were meandering, and you were just like, it's kind of a low, it's kind of a lull here. But I did like it. I let's see, I'd probably put this in the C tier. I'd probably put it in between Homecoming and Guardians. That's probably where I would put
Okay.
it.
Homecoming and Guardians or okay. This is Guardians. I'll put it under Guardians.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I like Guardians too much. I can't do that to them. All right, but that. Next is Loki seasons 1 and 2. So this is the series in general.
Mhm.
This is peak Disney Plus Marvel for me. I fell out of love with Marvel for a while. I'm not going to lie. And Loki season 1 was great. Loki season 2 is some of the best content that Marvel's made in a very long time. And I was just in awe with everything that was going on with the writing. It felt like a TV show and not a movie. Miss Minutes, Kang, like the Kang reveal in season 1 was amazing. Kang's plot being revisited in season 2 was awesome. I really like the TVA agents. They're like Morbius is really fun. Sorry, Mobius, not Morbius. Mobius is very fun. I really love this entire show personally, and this is an A. It might, for me personally, be the only A out of all the Disney Plus series. But I really enjoyed Loki as a collective. Like I could rewatch this so many times. The payoffs for the movies, especially, can be astronomically huge in the future. I really want to see what they do with it. Watch Loki if you haven't. But how do you feel about it?
Loki, when we talk about things being innovative and different from what we're used to, Loki is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Loki takes so many chances, does so many things differently, has a different vibe, really, than anything else in the Marvel universe. And for that, it gets high marks from me because it did it well, right? It was effective. Mobius is a really great character. Sylvie is a good character. This is the most we probably will ever get from Kang is in Loki 1 and 2. Let's just forget about Quantumania. From Loki 1 and 2, this Kang is a great Kang, right? So for all that, you're right. It's A tier for me, but I think it might be the last in the A tier for me.
I'm with that. That's fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I give it high marks. The second season really did a lot, and really kind of sets it up in an interesting place. I'm curious to see whether or not it's going to carry over into the bigger Marvel plot. Interestingly enough, we recently got the Deadpool trailer. Seemingly, the TVA is going to be very involved in that. So I'm very
Yeah.
curious to see how this will connect to Deadpool.
And also to add on to it, even with like Spider-Verse, the Miles movies, they had the timeline in that movie, like
Mhm.
the time strips. They even obviously in the Marvels later, like this I feel bad for anyone who doesn't watch the show that are watching the movies and expecting to be like, where the hell did this come from? Because like this show is going to be so important in the makeup of future events. Like you're missing out if you don't watch it. Like you can skip a lot of Disney Plus shows. Do not skip Loki. You need to watch it.
Yeah, and it's not
Um,
like it's not a big, it's not a big action piece. It's not a big.
yeah,
It's a lot of like a lot of character work, a lot of drama in these movies. There is a lot of fun sci-fi elements to it as well, but
yeah,
it's not like a Avengers movie where you're gonna get so much action. But what it does very well.
amazing at writing.
Mhm.
Um, now we have another movie. Yikes. We have Black Widow, where, it's not trash, right? It's
No,
not a bad
mm-mm.
movie. Actually, I thought when I first watched it, I was like, and I've only watched it once. But looking back, I'm like, this isn't that bad, actually. It's pretty mid. I think that they did this movie a disservice at having it post Endgame. I think this should have been right after, if not right after Captain America, then like around the time that they're doing like Ant-Man 2 and stuff. Like, why not have this movie? Because obviously, you guys are going to set up Scarlett Johansson's character to die. Why not have this before Endgame? That would have been so much more effective. And I don't know. I just think that they released it at a wrong time because ultimately, I don't care about this movie. Like it obviously introduces two very important characters are going to be the Thunderbolts in the future movie. So, in Black Widow's sister, she obviously comes back in
Hawkeye.
which Hawkeye. Thank you.
Mhm.
So there are some important things, but this is more so for them, not for Black Widow. Like the Red Room was interesting. The backstory before like the movie actually starts was very fun for me to see like lore because I love lore for characters. But once you know she's dead, it's like I don't really like I there's not much to really care about because you know what the stakes are and you know how it's going to ultimately end. But looking back, it's not trash. It's not bad. It's a C tier, a low one for me. But how do you feel about it?
I mean, you said everything that I was thinking. They waited way too long for it. They it really just kind of feels like a killing time movie in the MCU as a whole. Like, I guess we'll go ahead and put the Black Widow movie out. We're not doing anything better with our lives at this point. Why
Yeah,
not? But it's just like, yeah, like you said, we know she's dead at this point. Setting in the past doesn't really give us a lot of excitement. It doesn't, because what brings excitement for us in these Marvel movies is extending the plot, right? Extending the
yeah,
plot of the Marvel universe, extending the mythos of the plot. Now this does set up a lot of things in the future, like you said, but just the whole and it was fine, right?
yeah,
Scarlett Johansson is Natasha Romanoff. She is that character, and she was great in this. But it's just too little, too late, right? I think
yeah,
is a sum for this. So yeah, C tier for me. I don't really care where you put it in the C tier, to be
yeah.
honest.
It's whatever. Like I'll put it right here. I still watch
Yeah,
it
that's
before.
fine. That's fine.
Yelena, high regards for like she
Yeah,
killed the character for me. I really liked her.
definitely.
Um, Next we have What If season 1 and 2. Not much to talk about here. Like it's a
Yeah,
fun show.
it's solid.
The end of season 1 was great. I really enjoyed seeing like Ultimate Ultron. Like they're playing around with the multiverse. That's really the whole thing, and it's fine. The Watcher I expect to see in the MCU at some point. Also, Peggy, Captain Britain obviously made an appearance in a Doctor Strange movie, but it's just it's animated, so not a lot of people care about it, and I
It
don't know.
it's really solid. And like I said before, they should do more in animation. They should tell more stories in animation because it's easier than live action, right? You could fill up so many plot holes, you can fill up so many history holes with animation. And What If does a good job at that because What If is the premise of it is what if this happened, but they did a lot here to be like, I know y'all wanted to see this, so we'll just kind of put this in here as a what if.
Yeah.
Does a lot for Peggy Carter's character. Really solid. It's a C tier. I'd probably put a high C, to be honest.
Okay. I'll put it over Falcon and Winter Soldier because I'll watch that season 1 again
Yep.
if I could. The episodes of like if Ultron took over the MCU, that was crazy. And Killmonger, if he was successful, that was also a great episode for me. So,
Yeah.
cool. All right, Shang-Chi in the Ten Rings. How do you feel about this movie?
I actually hold this movie in high regard, and
Okay.
I recently watched Shang-Chi again and really enjoyed what I got out of it. I thought that The story was good. We had a good villain in the dad. We got good sequences. The end sequence where he's fighting the dragon and all that stuff. I mean, honestly, they stole a lot from the Iron Fist mythos for this, but that's fine. So I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. I'd probably put Shang-Chi in the B tier. Probably at the end of the B tier, to be honest.
I agree. I actually really enjoyed watching Shang-Chi. The fight scenes, it was such a breath of fresh air of not having a bunch of CG for a lot of these 1v1s. It felt like I was watching a Rush Hour movie for a little bit, watching some of these but the bus scene iconic, the club scene with the sister iconic. We get to see Abomination back, which was fun. Yeah, there's just a lot going on here. I thought the dragon was Fin Fang Foom for a long time, but it wasn't, honestly. But great. Like, I'm really anticipating like the return of Shang-Chi in the MCU because it's been way too long.
Way too long. Yeah.
Great character all around. You know, great supporting cast. We need to bring it back. How do you feel about Eternals?
I think this is where we're going to differ, because I feel like I remember you saying you really liked Eternals, and Eternals is trash. Eternals is bad. Eternals is one of the worst Marvel movies out there.
Wow.
Just as Guardians proves you don't need knowns to make this successful, Eternals does the exact opposite. Eternals is like, I don't care about none of these people, and this movie doesn't make me care about them. They were all, it's almost felt like a Zack Snyder DC movie. The color palette was muted. I mean, look at the poster. The poster is
Game of Thrones.
The poster is dreary. We see all these other colorful posters, all these other colorful art. This poster is dreary, and I would say that's a good descriptor for the movie. It was dreary. It was dull. We had some good standouts in Fastos and Kingo, but they revolved the movie around, I'm trying to think of the characters' names, Ajax, around I forgot who the dude,
I know what
the
they look
name
like.
was.
I just don't know their names.
But the characters they really revolve this around, Fastos and Kingo are more side characters, but the three characters they revolve this around were super dull. Positives for this movie. The fight scenes were fine. Fight scenes were okay. That's probably the best I can give you for that. But for me, this is F tier all the way. And I think I'd probably put it in between those two F tier movies for me.
Wow.
But I feel like you're gonna do something crazy and put like in the B tier or something.
Hell no. I think it's not great. It's not bad. It's mid for me. This is C tier for me. I don't think I haven't gone back to watch this movie. I think, first of all, the takes with history was cool, just to see them go through like time and look at their flashbacks. I think the more explanations we got of the Celestials, who are like these beings that we've only seen mentioned in Guardians, was pretty interesting to finally see them, and just to see like kind of like the future setups, because the big payoff of this movie is the huge celestial that's just sitting in the middle of the sea.
But it hasn't been touched. It hasn't been touched.
It's going to be touched in
the movie.
I think it's going to be touched on in Captain America. I don't know. But I think the medal is going to lead to something. We'll see. But it's like, you know, I feel you. I think the fight scenes is the strongest thing. I really don't like the Superman knockoff guy. They name dropped Superman in here, which made me think one day we'll get a DC versus Marvel movie. I don't know. I feel like I was like, they never do this, so why are they doing that? But overall, it's not bad. You know, it has some fun characters. I feel like we're going to get a lot of Thanos lore next time we see these characters. My biggest problem with this movie is I don't know where we're going with it. What's the direction?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you never saw these characters again. I wouldn't be surprised they just picked up the rug and swept them under the rug. No one's gonna remember that, right? Almost like the Inhumans, right? They had this big push for the Inhumans. The Inhumans is one of the biggest failures the MCU has ever had. You know why? Because they built this up so much, and we're not even ranking the Inhumans or anything, but just a tangent. They built this because they did not have access to mutants at the time. So like, I know we'll put the Inhumans where the mutants would be. We'll make the Inhumans our X-Men, but they were so dull, so lifeless that it failed. And the buildup was so grand that the comic side even coincided with that and made the Inhumans a huge aspect of the comic side, and that failed because no one cared. And it's the same thing with the Eternals. No one cares about these people, and you did not make them charismatic enough for us to care.
Yeah.
You did not make them full-fledged characters enough for us to care. And you proved that you can do it in Guardians. You just could not do it here. It was a failure. Failure.
The only thing I really hated was when not all the Eternals were there for the final fight. That pissed me off.
Yeah.
The side mission, the side story with like the deviant guy that was mutated kind of took away from the final fight as well, because I'm like, we have bigger problems to worry about than this guy at this point. Gilgamesh's death was crazy.
Yeah, they introduced Dane Whitman,
yeah,
was it the Black Knight or whatever his name is?
I don't really care about him either.
Did nothing with him. Teased Blade at the end of it. Did nothing with that.
It could be a future Midnight Sun. Who knows? Who knows?
Man, this was.
Oh no.
This is a failure in every single aspect. But we put it in the C tier. It
will be a low C. Listen. We could put it in D. It'll be low D. The bottom. of D.
Yeah.
It's not F.
They're lucky they got that.
The funny side character with Taika Waititi's character. I forget what his name is, but the guy with the camera, he was like young man. He was just like he was funny.
That wasn't Taika Waititi, but okay, whatever.
Oh wait, who was it?
Just I don't know what the actor's name is, but it wasn't.
No, I said the guy who was the sidekick.
That wasn't Taika Waititi, but it was some other guy. He was fine. He was funny. But
it was something.
Yeah, yuck, just yuck. Dreary.
All right. Well, now we can move on to something a little bit better. Hawkeye.
A little bit better. Hawkeye. Yeah,
go for it.
Hawkeye was fun, right? It was a fun distraction. It was a fun little Disney Plus series. It's not going to rock anyone's world, but it's not the pits, right? I would probably put this in the C tier. Do I want to put it in front of What If? I don't know. That's the feeling I'm getting.
How do I feel about this? This should be called Kate Bishop more than anything, but like
I liked Kate Bishop. I liked her story.
Oh yeah, she's fine.
I like that.
I don't care about the Tracksuit Mafia or Echo, and we'll get to Echo soon. But
I like that they picked up on the whole Hawkeye Ronin story. I liked that part. I liked the Yelena of it all. Her getting Kingpin. Revenge for Natasha. Yeah, Kingpin in there. It had a lot going for it. It's just it's more of just like it happened. So I think in the mid tier is a good tier for
all right. Yeah, let's I'll put it over What If. I mean, I'll watch it again maybe some episode.
I mean, we finally got more Kate Bishop coming. As
excited by that.
Marvels. Yeah,
I am excited about that. That's great. Okay. I don't know how you feel about this movie, but I love this movie. This is Spider-Man 3, No Way Home. I understand the critics out there who says this is a bad movie because there are some cringe moments. It's not perfect, but for me, I will watch this movie over and over and over again because this just screams Spider-Man nostalgia from top to bottom. Getting Toby and Andrew was just amazing. Getting freaking all the villains back. Like, I mean, they finally gave Jamie Foxx his redemption from that terrible iteration of Electro. We got Willem Dafoe back. We got Doc Ock doing his thing. Lizard, I actually liked Lizard a lot in this movie. And Sandman. I didn't like that Sandman was like CG the whole time. But I like Sandman. I love every single character in here. Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man. Great fight. Tom Holland Spider-Man finally has to pay for something and finally has implications for it. Now, I will say, more Tony Stark tech. I don't like that. But it worked here. I understand what they were going for. You know, the way that the movie happens, I'm very iffy on. But I love this movie from top to bottom. I would rewatch it over and over again. And I don't know how you're feeling about it, Jason. But this is an S tier to me. This is everything. This is like a love letter to Spider-Man fans. Just like, if you stuck around and you watched everything, this is for you. Like, this feels like a gift, and I really liked it. So this is an S tier for me.
Ooh, S tier.
Yes. You,
This was a
a hot take. Go ahead.
this was a nostalgia bomb unlike any other,
Yeah.
right? Because you had so much of what you love from the Spider-Man mythos coming back here. You got Toby and Andrew in more than glorified cameos. They were big parts of the movie. Like you could have had a version of this movie where you got, like I said, glorified cameos from these people, from the villains, but they were all in it. They were all big parts of it. Now, the big downfall for this movie for me is the plot, right? Is Peter trying to redeem the villains. And
Lots of holes.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
not great. Like you said, I like the redemption for the Electro character, which was one of the worst characters in a comic book
Yes.
movie. But they made him closer to who Jamie Foxx really is. So that was a good part of it. I did enjoy all the performances. The performances were great. The shock of Aunt May being killed was like, whoa, that was crazy, but it made so much sense in the context of the movie. And you like, yeah, the plot holes were like,
Yeah.
you could drive a truck through them. They didn't the mechanics of how the people were pulled from the universes and what would happen to them when they got back to the universes was sketchy. It felt rushed in that aspect,
Yeah.
but it got us to where we wanted to be. It got our Peter Parkers interacting, which was so great. It got moments for these characters where that freaking Andrew Garfield saving MJ moment was so phenomenal. And to know what that meant to that Peter Parker was out of this
Amazing.
world great. Such a
Yeah.
great story beat, because you could have just not had that and we wouldn't have even noticed. But you did that. You're just like, oh my God, like that blows my mind how good that is. The Doctor Strange of it all, it's fine. The Ned plot with him having the sling ring was like, probably could
I
have
don't
left
know
that
what
on
they're
the
doing with that.
yeah, I could have left that on the cutting room floor. But and the plus for this is we by the end of this movie, I feel like they're writing they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because we have complained. Number one, he gets all this tech right off the bat, which is crazy because that's not the Peter Parker we're used to. The Peter Parker we're used to is he's done it all himself. He's down in his luck, but he is still the hero because even though he has to do all this himself. But by the end of this movie, we get that. We get no one knows who Spider-Man is, because that's another criticism. Every freaking body knows who Spider-Man is in this universe. I mean, even before the Mysterio thing, he's ripping his mask off in front of everybody. But by the end of this, no one knows who Spider-Man is. He's back to basics. He's doing it all on his own. We got a very classic looking suit from the limited shots we saw of it. But I'm all for where this is a reset for this Peter Parker Spider-Man. I am ecstatic and excited to see where we're going with this version of Peter Parker Spider-Man. So for this, I would put it in A.
Okay.
I would probably put it in. I actually might put it in front of Loki. I think it's probably a lower A for me.
Let me see. I really like Loki. Really like this. And we can put it. All right. So because I put it in S, we can put it around here.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Let's do that. Okay. Great movie. Love it.
Yes.
Scared to talk about the rest of these movies. I'm not gonna lie. This might be a little faster. Like, let's see. Moon Knight. You care about Moon Knight?
Not really. Even throughout the whole thing, I was just like, "Where are we going?" I lost the plot several times in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't even know what we're doing anymore. I don't even know where we're going. I don't know what's real or what's not." It was fine. I like the performances. I like the story. I'd probably put it in the D tier. I'd probably put it second in D, probably.
Yeah.
After Captain Marvel. Is where
I was gonna try to fight that, but yeah, like easy. I stopped watching this plenty of times, and it actually took me a couple of weeks to actually go back and finish it.
Yeah.
And then I was very underwhelmed at the ending of it, where we missed the entire final fight. That really pissed me off.
Yeah, it's odd how they veered so much from the comic of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
because Moon Knight is like a street level
Yeah,
hero in the comic
in New
universe.
York.
He does worship Khonshu,
Yeah,
the Moon Knight, whatever. But the way they did this, the split personalities was interesting. I enjoyed the way they communicated that, right? The blackouts he would get, and they would come back, and crazy stuff was happening. I
yeah.
enjoyed that part of it, but like I said, going through it, like the latter half of it was like I forgot what the goal of this was. I forgot what the objective was, and yeah, so it's D tier for me.
I feel like they're trying to hype up them for the Midnight Suns portion and the monster side of the MCU. I just don't care, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Blade changes my mind with that.
Yep.
I'm so sad to talk about this next one, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, look, I felt like I'm not gonna say I was excited, but like I understood the hype coming into this one. And multiverse, we get to finally go see other places. That was hype, right? And to give it its credit, the Illuminati, just for what that meant to the MCU was awesome. Just to finally see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, get to see my boy from the X-Men come back, Professor X, the Inhuman, Black Bolt, Peggy Carter, like awesome. I get it, right? But first of all, the high point of this movie is Scarlet Witch. She's awesome in every aspect. She did great. Shout out to Sam Raimi for finally giving us some like horror elements in this. But I feel like the potential of a movie called Multiverse of Madness, and for us to spend the entire movie in just one multiverse and then everything else just be like a quick like transport, was like such a miss for me. Like this movie should have been, we're going everywhere. I was expecting to see the Watcher from What If. I was expecting to see so much stuff, and we just got one multiverse. Like that really like made me sad. Now, I will say America Chavez is a huge high point in here. I really liked her as a character. I really enjoyed her. I can't wait to see her in Young Avengers again. But this movie isn't that. Like it's not that great. It's kind of boring. And I saw it twice. I saw it once with my fiance, and I saw it a second time with my friends. I fell asleep the second time because I'm like, now that I know what's happening, there's nothing really to be hype about. Like the whole music fight scene with the other Doctor Strange in the Incursion universe was all right, but like I don't care. Like there's not much to care about with this, So this is this a C? I don't know where to put this, Jason. How are you feeling?
It's a top D for me.
Okay. I'm not fighting that. I'm not fighting it at all.
You put it well, where this movie is a failure to deliver on the promise of the title. Right? Multiverse of Madness makes you think we're going to a lot of places. Well, I remember the lead up to this movie. It's like, what cameos are we going to get? We're going to get so many cameos. Like we're going to get, is Captain America going to come back?
Yeah.
Is Iron Man going to come back? This is a multiverse. We could do anything. We could go anywhere.
Bots.
Right.
The Ultron bots.
We could go anywhere and do anything. But they failed to deliver on that promise. Now, the Illuminati, as you said, is a shining star in this turd of a movie. It's just like this one piece of it is really great. And that's the only reason it's in the D tier. The only reasons that this is in the D tier and not the F is one, Scarlet Witch, and two, that whole scene with the Illuminati getting killed, because that shit was crazy. Yeah. It was freaking crazy. Again, Doctor Strange, the worst part of the movie. He's boring.
He's not a fun main character.
Yeah, he's not fun. And the way he was, just most of the movie revolves around how hung up he is on the love interest and how that affects things. And it's like, please spare me. You said you liked America Chavez. I could not stand America Chavez.
Oh wow, okay.
Especially knowing what the comic counterpart is like. The movie counterpart is completely different, and it's like America Chavez in the comics is badass. She is kick ass, and in this one she's kind of like this precocious like kid. I'm like, please spare me that. So yeah, I'm putting it on top of D, and Scarlet Witch and the Illuminati is the reason. Doctor Strange, if it was just Doctor Strange on his own, it would be an F movie, but it's at the top of D because of those reasons for me.
All right. How you feel about Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel's good. I really enjoyed Miss Marvel. Right? Okay. It was, what was it, 6 to 8 episodes, and I don't think I even reached an hour. I think that was a really good length to really introduce us to Miss Marvel, introduce us to the world. I think a lot of the stylistic choices they made were really good, especially in the beginning of the show. Um, her powers are, again, they wildly vacillated from the comic counterpart, which is like, and they're and Miss Marvel was introduced in the inhuman phase of the comics, so she is an inhuman, and they are really trying to switch her up. Even in the comics right now, they're making her into a mutant. They're like, oh
which is
yeah,
crazy.
wait, I know you're technically inhuman, but you got some
Like,
mutant genes too, so you're a mutant now because we don't care about humans anymore. Um, but the show I really enjoyed. I enjoy her as Kamala Khan. She's definitely a different vibe than the comic book character, but that's fine. I still enjoy what we get here. I put her at the end of B, I think, is where I put Miss Marvel.
I'm with that. I actually really enjoyed her because my introduction to Kamala was the video game, the Avengers game.
Ooh,
Not that good. I got it for free with
ooh.
my cable plan.
I paid for that shit, and I was
I'm so
mad.
sorry.
I was mad about it.
She is like the female like Toby. I mean, I said Toby, Tom Holland for the MC right now. Like, I was curious how stylistically like she's not stretching her arms, is like the
Yeah,
light energy
it's
and all.
very
But
different. Yeah,
yeah, but looking at the end of the Marvels, which we'll get to, I'm like, okay, maybe they're going back to that. The clandestines were okay.
Mhm.
I forget.
They're mostly forgettable as villains, though.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
forgettable. But I feel like we're not done seeing them for some reason.
Hmm.
As well as Red Dagger, he was okay. I feel like we might see him. I don't know.
I would be surprised if she just doesn't pull him in for Young Avengers.
Yeah,
I could see that happening. Yeah.
I think the best part is the family dynamic, though. The family is such a
Yes.
fun group of characters.
Totally.
I was so scared they were just going to be a show thing. I'm glad that they carried over to the movie perfectly. Like
Yep.
they're great. The chemistry is great. I enjoy them a lot. So, yeah, Kamala was a great addition to the MCU, and I
Yep.
like her.
Yeah, she's a standout for sure.
We got Thor. Thor
Ooh,
4 trash.
trashy, trash.
Horrible.
This is the F tier you're gonna get.
Yeah,
But I still don't think it's as bad as Thor Dark
it's not.
World.
It could be
Put
its F tier.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's fine where you have it right now.
Yeah.
I that's fine. The promise of Jane Foster Thor, which was a big part of the comics, was good. I thought they did that pretty well. The biggest issue with this is the villain. Um,
Really? You don't like him, Gore?
no,
Wow.
he was so campy. And they didn't do enough with him. He's the God Butcher, but he didn't butcher that many gods. Like, and for him to, and the way they just randomly redeemed him by the end, it was just like, again,
Okay.
ugh. And they took the Thor Ragnarok. They're like, oh, y'all like the funny Thor? Like, let's ratchet it up to 100. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you did too much now. Now it's too much comedy, too much camp. So I think that's my overall feelings of Love and Thunder.
It felt like SNL made a movie. I actually like Christian Bale as a villain a lot. I enjoyed him a lot in this. But everything else, I wasn't a fan of. Like the ending with Gore, where basically they're trying to get to that wish. It made me think like, all right, Thor. So if you knew about this, like, why didn't you do this during Endgame? I was kind
Yeah,
of confused
yeah,
about that. Stylistically, I like the black and white fights. Like I thought it was cool. The effects at the time, I know they corrected it, but my God, with the floating head thing, it was so bad to watch in
yes,
theaters.
yeah.
Um,
And the way they made it feels so random how they made
yeah,
Thor a father by the end of this. I'm like, where the heck did this come from?
yeah,
Like,
love, yeah. I'm
I'm
just
like,
like,
what the hell? I did not expect that at all going
yeah.
into that movie. But I am curious to see where Thor is after this. I don't know where we'll see him next. Probably in like a Secret Wars or whatever King Dynasty turns out to be. But I'm just curious to see where this leads him down the line.
I'm scared we're going to get Thor 5 because you got Hercules out there hunting for him now. So I'm just like, my
Yeah,
God,
boy,
I'm scared.
that was a letdown. I was like,
Yeah,
that guy as Hercules, I understand he's a hot name. He was a hot name at the time off of Ted Lasso. I'm just like, that guy's your Hercules. And
with the multiverse storyline going at that, I'm like,
yeah. So yeah, it's in its F tier where it belongs.
yeah. Have you watched Iron Groot? Because I haven't.
No, yeah, haven't just
Haven't
put that in haven't
watched.
watched. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that's yeah. Those are like 5 minute shorts on Disney Plus, and
Okay.
it seems more geared toward children. I think.
It's yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't watch it either. She-Hulk. Okay. So She-Hulk. It's not as bad as I think people made it seem. Like it's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not terrible. The villains very bad. Okay, but like I think She-Hulk as a character, this was never meant to be like the action show. Like I always thought this was going to be like some kind of like drama. I'm kind of surprised that they kind of took it to the direction they did. But first of all, I like the fourth wall breaking that she did at the very end of it. I thought that was very interesting. I liked her as an actress, like talking to the TV. It felt like I was watching a Deadpool movie, so that's why I didn't mind that. And I really like Daredevil. I was glad to see Daredevil back. It was great to see him back. Those are the three high points for me. I know people hate the Megan Thee Stallion portion and the court case, but like, what did you expect from this? Like, this is a very unserious character in the comics. Did you expect like some crazy big event in She-Hulk now? Like I got what I expected, so I didn't hate it. I didn't care for it either. I like to see Abomination back. I thought that was an interesting portion of it. And I also like to see the training portion she had with Hulk. It's okay. It's mid. It wasn't bad, but this is a CD for me,
Yeah. This was the first show that Sasha and I covered for Pro Show Recaps.
Oh, cool.
They had a lot of very fun elements in this, right? The supporting cast was great. The cameos were great. We had, Wong, we had Daredevil, we had the new character of Madison with a Y, but not what you think. That was a very fun addition. This was a very fun show. And that was the premise, right? This was the first, like, quote unquote comedy that Marvel's doing. It's like a 30-minute sitcom type of thing. I thought it was effective. Now, where I have to subtract a lot of points is for the CG, because the CG was terrible.
Yeah.
And I remember saying on the podcast, like, it felt like a PlayStation 2 graphic, and as sometimes we were seeing She-Hulk. And don't get me started on the storyline of Hulk and his son at the end, which came out of nowhere, hasn't been touched on since. I don't know if it'll ever be touched on again. It was like, what the hell's going on here? And when we saw the guy, it was a terrible CG job. So those aspects weren't good. The storylines were interesting. The way they did the whole like Kevin robot at the end was a very interesting turn. And it's Marvel poking fun at itself. So I thought it was fun. I think I would probably put this. Where would I put this? I would put this in front of Hawkeye, probably in the C category.
I'm with that. I mean, where's Hawkeye at?
Yeah,
why not?
It was quirky. It was fun.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going for it, but the poor CG design and sometimes the story was all over the place. Are really things that kind of bring it down for me.
When they brought Hulk's son in, Sakaar, I was like, well, there goes any hope for like a good World War Hulk storyline for me. Like that killed me. Because I really like Sakaar in that comic.
He basically does World War Hulk off camera. Like,
and
what?
Yeah.
Who made that choice? Why is that a good idea? It's a terrible idea, is what it is. Ugh.
I mean, Mark Ruffalo wants his own movie. Obviously,
they're not going to give it to him. Apparently,
Universal don't want it. So,
terrible.
What the MCU's done to Hulk is criminal. Another podcast for another day. But it's so I'm so annoyed. I can't wait for the reboot so they can fix their wrongs. But we're almost done. This is at the beginning I said there's 3 things I haven't seen. I have not seen Werewolf by Night yet. I'm playing on it. I just keep putting it off. So you have full control here for this one.
Werewolf by Night was good. Was interesting. It was definitely a different foray from anything else you've seen with Marvel. It's it's really complete kind of one-off over on in its own little corner on the side. Doesn't touch on anything else in the MCU. I'd probably put this as a low C. Probably put it in front of Black Widow.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, so it was fine. It was okay.
I feel like they're really inching these guys for a Midnight Suns, but
Yeah.
him, Moon Knight, until we get Blade, I'm like, it's not looking too good.
We need
Black
we need
Knight
we need
too.
Blade and Ghost Rider to really kind
Yeah,
of fill out our supernatural type of
yeah,
crew there. We'll see
yeah.
where that goes, but yeah.
Wakanda Forever. I like Wakanda Forever. For what it is. I have
Yeah.
my issues with it a little bit, but with the circumstances, I understand how it turned out the way it did. Um, Namor, whatever they do with it, okay. I
Yeah.
liked him better in the comics, but he's okay. How they did Atlantis was great. I enjoyed every little bit of that on the effect side of it. I can tell the Avatar did wonders for them when they came over here. And Shuri as a Black Panther, she's a different vibe because she was very goofy in the other movies, but it's understandable and I understand the change. The end fight with Namor versus Shuri was pretty great.
Yeah.
This and any fights in this movie was great. Okoye was great. All the fights were awesome. The sun reveal at the very end of it was great as well. It has a lot of highs, but the lows are pretty low. Shout out to Angela Bassett, amazing standout performance in this. Also, the return of Michael B. Jordan was great in this. Um, Overall, this movie's like a low B, high C for me. But it's cool. I've rewatched it a couple times with some friends, and I like it.
Yeah, I think we're along the same lines. I think Shuri in this movie didn't really do much for me. She was probably the least interesting character here. But that being said, she had some effective moments in the role. The Okoye role was very interesting to me here, where she goes up against Queen Ramonda, and like you said, Angela Bassett just should have gotten all the awards and love for this because she
Yeah.
killed this, and it broke my damn heart when they actually killed her off because I did
Oh
not
my
see that
god.
coming at all. But I think I'm right with you. I think I probably put this at the bottom of B.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think it was well done. It had a giant task in front of it with having to honor Chadwick and having to figure that out. But I think it did very well with what it was tasked to do.
Now I also forgot Ironheart was in this as well.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
okay.
because she was forgettable. That was the thing. I hate that this was the moment that she was introduced because
Yeah.
she felt like an afterthought, and she should be more of a presence in wherever she's coming from. I don't even know if her TV show / movie is still in
I think it got
development or they
canceled,
scrapped
or
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
That-
probably she'll show up in Armor Wars. I
She's
think.
supposed to show up in that, and they turned that into a movie
Yeah,
allegedly. And I mean, she goes to the same school as Ned and Zendaya now, so I'm like, hey, maybe we might see her in
yeah.
something else. But yeah, until then, I'm just like, obviously, she's got to show up in Young Avengers at some point. I just don't know how they're going to do that, but
Yeah.
wait and see. Did you watch the holiday special for Guardians?
Yes, I did.
I liked it.
It was fun. It was really
Yeah.
fun. I think I'd probably put it. Where would you put it? What tier would you put it in?
See, I mean, it's a joke. I would put it probably like behind or below She-Hulk. It was cool. Like,
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that.
Why not?
It was a
Okay.
fun little distraction, right? It was
Yeah.
a little one-off.
Got 5 left. It's time to talk about Quantumania. Jason, how do you feel
Ooh.
about it?
Man, I think this is probably the bottom. This is the bottom of the barrel right here.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Bottom of the barrel. After
Wow.
Thor, the CG was bad, the story was bad, the villain was bad. Everything about this sucked. Okay. For me, this is bottom of the barrel. It seems like you have a different opinion.
It's not bottom, but it's D. Like
D.
Wasted Modoc. Like I
Oh.
actually liked Modoc a lot, and I was pretty sad about that. I did not like Cassie Lang at all. Actually, she
No.
really annoyed me, and I'm not looking forward to see her again. Hank was fun. His wife basically stopped talking after half of the movie, which I thought was crazy. And Scott Lang, I probably enjoyed him a little bit more, but same thing. He's just like kind of like a main character, It's
Mhm.
like I would care about this a lot more if Jonathan Major was still around, but he's not. So it's just like
Uh,
I
uh,
think yeah, I don't
and
know.
they made Kang, who's supposed to be this big bad villain, you let him get taken down by Ant.
Ant-Man.
That's not.
I felt disrespected for
Yes,
that.
totally. And I think, honestly, I think maybe the Wasp was like the best part of the movie.
Sad
Um,
days.
yeah, like I liked her in this. Bad haircut and all. Um, but that's just not saying much about this movie. It's bad. It's terrible for me.
This and Multiverse of Madness were big disappointments for me.
But at least Multiverse had the Illuminati to save it. This didn't
Yeah,
have anything to save it for me.
I'm not going to agree with you with F, but I will put it at the bottom of D. Like
Okay. All
it
right.
was, it was,
I will begrudgingly take that.
it was something. Um, Actually, yeah, no, I'm sick with that. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, in my opinion, is a S tier movie. I
Ooh,
think it's
okay.
the best movie to release post Endgame. I think James Gunn just wants nothing to do with the Marvel side of things, and he's great at forming his own trilogy. And I
Mhm.
think Rocket was phenomenal in this movie. I really like the High Evolutionary. All the rest of the cast were great. Like the fight scenes were great. The action was, it didn't even feel like a Marvel movie. It just felt like its own thing. It was so cohesive. I'm excited to see the crew again, the new Guardians. Peter Quill's end saving scene was awesome. Overall, I just love like the goodbye to this franchise. Like it was a perfect send off. And I went in this movie not expecting anything. I was like, I don't care about the Guardians. This movie made me go back and watch the other ones again because it was that great. I think Rocket was the perfect main character for this. The High Evolutionary, he blew it out the water. Like just everything. It was so dark, so much backstory. There's so much to look forward to with this crew. Groot was funny. I just liked it. I really liked this whole group, this whole movie. Even losing Drax and Gamora and all, like it was a great goodbye to those characters. Like it was great overall. I liked it.
I probably would put it in the A tier, but I'm not going to fight you on the S tier thing. You can put it in the
Okay.
S tier. I would probably put it at the bottom of the S tier
Okay.
if we're compromising.
Okay.
Um, I thought this was a good send off. I thought they really throttled back on the humor for me that made the Guardians
Mm.
what the Guardians were. So I think that's a downfall. The rocket story was so upsetting. It was just like it took me out of it for a bit, and especially the way they kept cutting back and forth between the two, I thought was a little disruptive of the movie as a whole. But that to be said, I thought it was a very effective. Like you said, the action was fantastic. There were some really good, funny moments. Like we got our first F bomb in the Marvel universe, a supremely hilarious moment with figuring out car locks. That was just like, love that, fantastic. But yeah, and this really was the feeling of a family dissolving, but you felt the feelings because we've seen these people bond, and we had that chemistry from the first movie, and we've seen them like 3 other times since then, and all that was really culminated in this movie. And you could feel the sense of loss. You could feel the sense of people moving on. You could feel this was an ending to
Yeah.
this story, to this trilogy. So it was really really good. So I think where we have an S tier, I will definitely take that.
All right. And Cosmo was funny too. I forgot about that with the whole
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Um you
Ugh.
want to talk about bottom of the barrel.
Oh
Secret Invasion.
boy,
What a heartbreak, man.
what
What a
like
heartbreak.
what are what
What are we
what are y'all
doing here?
doing?
Yeah, what a
What
heartbreak.
you took this premise and just tossed it in the trash. You had so much go. You could have done so much with this, and for it to be what it was awful. It was terrible. Just okay. So first of all, we have the Don Cheadle and Sam Jackson of it all, Nick Fury, Rhodey of it all. They're bonding over being black men in high positions in America. You're like, oh, so great. And then they make Rhodey a freaking scroll, totally invalidating that whole thing. So you took us on this ride. It was like, oh, you know what? Psych, he's not actually a black man having to deal with this. He's a Skrull that hates humans. Okay, terrible, terrible, terrible. Then you have the fact that you could have done so much with the history of the MCU and how Skrulls played a part in the history of the MCU, but you didn't do that at all. You had the main villain Gravik, who we're told was a mentee of Nick Fury, but we never got a real scene of Nick Fury and Gravik in the present together dealing with that issue. That is terrible storytelling. That is terrible use of the characters you have. It was trash. And then you took Daenerys Targaryen and gave her every power in the Marvel universe. I don't care about her. And now you just have this loose end out there that is one of the most powerful people in the Marvel universe. And we will probably never see her again. This will never be touched on again. And then to make it even worse, you have this out of nowhere storyline by the end, right? Where Nick Fury comes to and talks to his wife, who he's like, oh, hey, by the way, the Kree called and they want a truce between them and the Skrulls.
Why?
Where did that come from? So like, okay, all right, so this is going to get picked up in the Marvels, right? Because the Marvels was right after this. Well, all right, cool. And they totally don't reference it at all in the Marvels. We could have had Nick Fury's wife, who that was an interesting thing of it all, and who we find out Nick Fury's married, and he's married to a Skrull. And we're like, oh, does Nick Fury know she's a Skrull? And not only do we find out, yes, he knows she's a Skrull, but Nick Fury might be racist. And we're like, what? This is what you chose to do with this? No, bad Marvel, bad. This was terrible. This should be this right here is bottom of the barrel F.
I'm with you.
Only for storytelling issues altogether, because the acting in this was great, okay? But they had the crap they were given is inexcusable. They killed off Maria Hill for no reason, none at all. Just awful, terrible.
And they wasted Super Skrull because I liked him. Yeah. And I think the worst part, you hit it right in the nail. Every single thing that led up to this movie has zero relevance going into the Marvels. And we were told that the events of Secret Invasion is going to be so big, it's going to take, is leading you into the Marvel. It did nothing. Okay. Nothing. And then, like, to make matters worse, well, that's more the next one. We'll touch up on that in a second. But we didn't even, like, we were told like there's going to be mad crossovers. It's going to be like an Avengers level event. We're going to see so many characters. We only got Rhodey. We didn't see anybody else. And I'm just like, what are we doing here?
And the debacle with Rhodey is crazy, right? Because we find out that Rhodey's a Skrull. Then we're asking all the questions. We're like, okay, that's interesting. How long has Rhodey been a Skrull?
Civil War.
Where is this happening? And then we don't really get anything tying up that plot line. We get Rhodey in a containment pod at the end. We're like, oh, Rhodey, and he has trouble walking. So that and only that is our clue and our indication. Oh, he must have been taken before Civil War, which taken right after Civil War, which affects Endgame, right? Because Endgame, we have Tony dying. That Rhodey that was there at Tony's side was not Rhodey. So you've totally just crapped all over that. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just and then we get the reveal that Rhodey's a Skrull. We get the little he's taken out his container pod, but we don't check in with Rhodey again. We don't check in with him. We don't get any actual dialogue from the actual Rhodey character, which is just it's bad storytelling. That's what it is. It's bad storytelling. It's bad directing. And the director of this came out later and was like, I don't really care. It's kind of a job for me. And that's a big issue with current day Marvel. They don't really handpick the people that are behind the camera. They don't pick fans of this. They pick mercenaries. They pick people that are just taking a job. Get people that are passionate. behind the camera, behind the scenes. I think that's a big issue with all of these Marvel, with the more recent Marvel fare of late.
And I'm scared to see Armor Wars now because I think Armor Wars should actually be a TV show now to see how he feels about seeing Tony's dead and how the world's
Yeah.
changed.
Oh,
We don't
we
even
could
have
none
that
of
anymore.
we could have had that in Secret Invasion. We could have had
And,
him coming to that realization, but they
yeah,
chose not to do that. They chose,
and now
we'll get to it later. Like, what?
they need
You
to cram this into a movie.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I'm scared. I'm
terrible.
scared.
Just terrible.
So horrible. Glad we agreed on that. The Marvels is our last movie that we were talking about. I don't know. I didn't watching the Marvels. I was super excited at first because I didn't care about Miss Marvel. Like this is gonna be called. I mean, sorry, Captain Marvel. This is gonna be supposed to be called Captain Marvel 2. Did not care about it when they changed it to the Marvels. We see Monica Rambeau and we see Kamala. I was excited because I love both of those characters. Sam Jackson. Boom, we're straight. I think Secret Invasion ruined a lot of this for me because a lot of the events of Secret Invasion are invalid going into this. I'm not sure if the person writing this watched the previous stuff because they take the scrolls and send them back to Earth where they're already being hunted down by the US government. And plus you send them to New Asgard where that's on US soil. So it's like, what are we doing here? You know, like you're sending them to their death essentially. Like I don't really understand that. On top of that, this is another miss for Carol Danvers. I don't really care about her in this movie. I think Monica Rambeau, great job, especially with the end implications and the X-Men. We could see that like that's going to be something. I think Kamala, she's not the same character as she was in Miss Marvel, but she's so fun. She's like definitely like a comedic relief here. So great. Her and her family are this was a better performance from them than the TV show for me. I really enjoy them, but the villain is so bad. Like I understand the plan. I understand like what she was fighting for. I just don't care about the villain. I don't remember her name. I don't remember where she's from. The only thing that was relevant from her is that she opened a big portal into space, and I'm shocked that they let this character out of all of them have such a big responsibility for future events. But like this movie, it's like a D tier for me. Like it's solid in parts, but like even like the whole Captain Marvel's married to like this guy was so rushed through. They just get like the whole thing with Miss Marvel in the show was that she made her costume based off of like things from people she's friends and families with. They threw that out the window. Now she has like this alien costume. Like what did I sit here and watch her grab all this stuff for if you guys just gave her a new costume like one movie later? It's just like it has some high moments. Like the fighting choreography was amazing throughout this movie because of like they're all swapping places, but outside of that I don't really care about this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see myself going back to it, and this is a D.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
High D.
Because I think I would put this in the bottom of B if I had my way. Because, and I recently watched this again when it came to Disney Plus because I had seen it in theaters, but the rest of my family hadn't. So we put it on, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the comedy in this worked extremely well. I think that's a strength of the movie. From Nick Fury and the Kamala's family and Nick Fury take this from like a C to a B for me. It gives it a whole tier up. The whole plot device of we have to get everyone eaten by these Flurkin to get back to Earth that scene was hilarious to me.
Yeah, that's funny.
The whole singing planet was funny. This movie succeeded in actually giving Carol Danvers a semblance of a personality. It's still not a great personality, but it gave her a better one than in Captain Marvel 1.
She pissed me off when she let people to die. Man, I killed me. I forgot about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, she made tough choices.
Yeah, I get it.
Kamala was a star in this movie. Monica Rambeau was great in this movie. I just thought I thought it was really effective for what it was. I think this could have been one of those Ant-Man, Doctor Strange movies where just like, okay, I could have taken it or leaving it, but it's whatever. It's mid. But I think for me, all the things I mentioned make it a B for me. And low B, but it's still
No.
a B for me. I wouldn't say it's mid. I'd say it's actually really overachieved what I thought it would have done.
So this is definitely averaging out to high C. So
Okay,
there you
I'll
go.
take that. I'll take it.
Lastly, we got Echo.
Echo.
Jason, I did not finish Echo.
Yeah, I don't know if
watched
I
the
really,
first.
I don't know if I really
Good.
blame you. I don't know if I blame you for
Yeah,
that.
I watched the first episode. Sorry, I watched 2 episodes. Like the same for me, and I just skipped to the end of the last episode. I didn't care to do anything else with it.
Echo was very tough because Echo is not a character with high people have high knowledge of, right? She appeared a little bit in Hawkeye. She's not a big star from the comic universe, so I don't think a lot of people came into this really caring. I did watch the whole show, podcast about it with Sasha, and it was a fine show. It was good, but nothing about it blew me away. Kingpin was in this. He was really good in this. Really interesting storylines for him. It was good. It did good to show culture. It did really well with showcasing who Maya Lopez is and her culture and all that. The actress that plays Maya Lopez is not particularly engaging.
No,
She's not a star. I mean,
no,
so I would say that does not do a lot for this property. I think a lot of things around Maya Lopez and Echo did better than she did. So for that, I would probably say, I'd probably say it's in the middle of D for me.
okay.
Um,
I was shocked that they promoted like Daredevil and all these people, and they were there for like 5 seconds at the beginning. And
yeah,
then
but the
that's it.
Daredevil fight was really good.
Yeah.
It made me more excited for Daredevil Born Again than anything for the show. So it was okay. Will never watch Echo again. Like I have no care or cause to watch it again. It didn't stick with me. So yeah.
All right. Well, look, we just ranked every single thing. Only took us 2 hours 30. I'm so sorry I told you this whole time. But I appreciate the combo. So Endgame versus Supreme King right now, and Secret Invasion is the bum.
Dead last.
Obviously, me and Jason don't agree on all of it, but that's the fun of these streams,
Yeah.
So Jason, thank you so much for coming, man. Hopefully we can do more type of content like this because I had a fun combo with you. But where can people find you?
Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. You can find me on Twitter at JAYR1085. As far as podcasting goes, we talked a lot about superheroes. I do nothing superhero involved right now. I'm all about romance and love right now. I am podcasting about Love is Blind over on the Rob Has Podcast Network with Mary Kwiatkowski. Me and Isaiah are typically on these seasons. We come in for one podcast episode and really upend Mary and Asia typically, but this season I am co-hosting the whole season, but Isaiah will be on with us for one of these episodes. We are 2-on-1 outnumbering Mary, so our nonsense will be paramount. So check me out over there. Also, you can check me out on the podcast A Perfect Match, also on the Rob Has Podcast Network, where me and Asia Welch talk about the show Married at First Sight. So yeah, check me out there.
All right. And like usual, you can find me at 8 Ball Bangers doing all sorts of stuff. My reality TV break is almost over because Big Brother Canada it will be starting next month. And I plan on actually talking about Love is Blind here as well with Javier. Yeah, so check us out here. Check me and Jason's pod out whenever we get to it. And yeah, until next time, have a good one.